hard to believe it's been 10 years since the first Twilight movie came out. Since the last Twilight movie came out. Damn, these films are old. 2008, man. That's 15 years since millions of teenage boys were dragged by millions of teenage girls to see a film series that had them scratching their heads saying, really? This is what's gonna get me laid? Girls are stupid. Now let me go watch my equally non-pandering franchise. Did I just say franchise? Did I just make up a good word? Anyway, yeah, boys and girls really like a lot of shit in the past. That's nothing new. But the Twilight franchise was distinctly awful. And what I mean by that is, it seemed to encapsulate every kind of bad there was. Some are so bad they're good, others are just boring. Some try fourth wall humor, others try to play it straight. Some are just harmless fluff, others are some of the most harmful things you could show a young person involving romance. Now yes, this clearly falls into the category of romantic fantasy, not to be taken too seriously, and the generation that grew up with it turned out fine, so I wanted to see if these movies were as awful as I and everyone who memed them remember. After all, over time, the lead actors have proven themselves to be quite talented. Could it be there was something, even the tiniest thing about it, that was legitimately intelligent?
No! It's just dumb!
Well, let's not waste any time, because Christ, we have a lot of movies for that. Let's start with the original, Twilight. Based on the 2005 young adult novel, I'll admit I had no idea what to expect from this film. All I knew about the book was that distinct cover and that it was everywhere. I didn't even know it was about vampires or werewolves or whatever. I was pretty much going into it blind. But the book was a big hit and the director seemed to have a decent enough track record. So I walked in with pretty much no expectations. And put simply, I was delightfully amazed at how terrible it was. However, there is a little bit of an asterisk with that. I'll explain in a minute. The setup: Bella Swan, played by Kristen Stewart, moves to a new school in Seattle where she falls in love with a boy named Edward Cullen, played by Robert Pattinson. It's love at first whiff? Oh yeah, these actors can smell how bad this is gonna be. Look, he has wings, it's symbolic. This movie's going places I didn't think it would dare! Edward reveals himself to be a vampire. Yeah, I was shocked by that too. And despite trying to keep his distance, he has a strong need to instantly protect Bella.
I feel very protective of you.
Yep, they barely have a conversation, yet he sees himself as Mario to her Peach. You're really gonna regret that after 5 movies, but we'll get to that too. Bella reacts to this the same way she reacts to everything, with no reaction. And she discovers that not only is Edward 108 years young, but he and his vampire family feast on animals rather than humans, and rather than die in the sunlight, they sparkle like a giant lip gloss.
It's like diamonds. You're beautiful.
Are we sure Stephanie Meyer wasn't an AI specifically writing for teen girls?
This is the skin of a killer, Bella.
Sparkle, sparkle.
You're not worthy of that meme. When a bunch of bad vampires get a literal scent of this, the war is on to stop the romance, resulting in all of the baddies getting killed off except for one who vows revenge.
I wanted to kill you. I've never wanted a human's blood so much in my life.
I trust you.
What?
Okay, so this is a very easy film to rip apart, and when I first saw it, I told all my friends, you have to see how bad it is. The terrible writing, the stilted acting, the laughably bad wire work. This scene. It's a laugh riot. If you don't know all this going in. See, by the time my friends got around to watching it, they already heard about the sparkling skin, the fan fiction premise, the emotionless performances. Because of that, they found it really boring. And yeah, it really is. If you go into this completely blind, it's a definite so bad it's good movie. But if you already know the memes and what happens in it, the film is honestly very dull to look at and listen to. The only thing that's kind of entertaining is how they make the mother of all dysfunctional couples try to sound romantic.
How did you get in here?
The window. I like watching you sleep.
I just like to watch you guys. I love you and Johnny.
Yeah, sure, throw it on there. So yes, there is a lot that's bad about this movie, but it's not an insane kind of bad if you know what you're getting going in. That's where New Moon comes in. Released only 1 year later, and man does it show. New Moon officially creates the love triangle that horny girls convince themselves they could be in the middle of. Team Edward versus Team Jacob, played by Taylor Lautner. Oh my god. Forgot that's the hair he originally had. Yeah, looks good on him, man. Looks really great. He drops it, right? Okay, phew. Though you seem to be missing something else. Was your long hair glued to all your shirts? No, really, I'm not kidding. Jacob being shirtless in this is like the ice puns in Batman and Robin. You think, nah, that can't be the majority of the movie, but it sure as hell is. And just like that, Batman, get used to those nipples. They're gonna be looking at you for a while. Nudist colonies cover up more than Jacob. So, okay, Bella and Edward are living blandly ever after until the unthinkable happens. Bella gets a cut, causing the vampires to go crazy. Wait, that's not unthinkable, that's incredibly thinkable. Like, day one, you should have been concerned about this. You know you're vampires, right? Anyway, this is enough for Edward to break up with Bella and move away. Yeah, most of the movie, these two aren't even together.
You just don't belong in my world, Bella. I belong with you. No, you don't.
I know Stewart got a lot of flack for her acting in this, and rightfully so, but honestly, Pattinson is just as bad. And yeah, I know, they were young, they hit something that caught on, and they wrote it out to good movies eventually, but I'm not gonna pretend because he was in The Lighthouse, this magically becomes good. He's supposed to break up with her and I guess pretend like he doesn't love her, but he has to act bad enough so the girls in the audience can catch on that he doesn't mean it, which just makes the acting worse.
I don't want you to come. You're just not good for me. But if it's not too much to ask.
Not too much to ask! You literally just broke up with her! Do any of these people?
Don't do anything reckless. This is the last time you'll ever see me.
What tone is he even going for here? It's like he's trying to be good at being bad, which just turned out bad, so he's like, screw it, I don't even care how I'm saying this line.
Goodbye.
Just say cut already. The reason he doesn't want her to do anything reckless is, get this, whenever her life is in danger, his spirit appears. So you guessed it, she repeatedly crashes vehicles and jumps off cliffs just to get Edward's attention. So you know, kids, if things don't work out with your high school sweetheart, like most young love goes, it's not that he was your perfect mate, it's that yes he is, he just needs convincing. He said no, well just Wile E. Coyote yourself back into his heart. What's the worst that could happen? You die? So Edward thinks she's dead and is about to expose himself to sunlight in front of a crowd. Oh no, he'll explode! Oh wait, he'll just sparkle, that's right. But people will know vampires are real! Good. Don't really see why this is a secret. I mean, you eat animals like other people eat animals, and hell, medical technology has come a long way and maybe can help. You know, maybe staying in the shadows was wrong. Come on out and let the world see who you really are. No! Bella saves Edward from exposing himself. Not that enough of him wasn't exposed already. And the Vampire High Council, led by Michael Sheen bullshitting his way to the easiest paycheck he ever got, says they can be together. Well, there's only one way to follow up this rickety love roller coaster of endless misery.
Marry me, Bella.
What? You assholes were barely together in this movie! She spent more time with Jacob, who I'll admit outside the father is the only character I legit feel sympathy for. The whole film he's trying to be kind and help Bella out, and all she does is act like she wants him and then acts like she doesn't. Sure, he's way too confident in his body image, but he was there for her. For whatever baffling reason, he wanted to help her despite being bonkers cuckoo bananas. But the insane choices these people make are way too nutty not to find funny. It's not laugh out loud hilarious, but it's so hypnotically awful, it can be quite entertaining. Unlike its 2010 follow-up, Eclipse. Eclipse in some respects is the worst kind of Twilight movie, a self-aware one. And to make it even worse, it's not that bad at it. You see, the director of this ended up acquiring a pretty interesting resume, and this is the first film where you got the feeling everyone involved knew they were making crap.
When I read it, it was like it was a book that wasn't supposed to be published.
I've probably made 5 really good films.
What am I doing with this kid? I'm 108 years old.
Kind of ignore their duties instantly. They just want to bone. It's the most ridiculous situation.
Millions of Twilight fans out there, they don't want it to be over. It's a little bittersweet, isn't it? For them. Yeah.
Now, they stuck it out. They gave audiences what they were looking for, but there is a cynicism that at first is kind of welcomed. Like Edward asking if Jacob ever wears a shirt.
Doesn't he own a shirt?
Or Jacob warming up Bella because Edward has no body heat, saying,
Let's face it, I am hotter than you.
There's even a graduation speech pretty much saying high schoolers are dumb and get into a lot of stupid things, so go easy on them.
This is the time to make mistakes. Fall in love, change your mind, and change it again.
nothing great, but in terms of Twilight writing, this is Rick and Morty self-awareness. It's the most competently done, and therefore the least interesting. But it's still pretty damn bad. The film opens with Bella denying Edward's proposal. Oh, sorry, was he moving too fast for you, Miss Jump Off a Cliff if he doesn't look at me? And he keeps asking over and over like a 5-year-old who has a crush on his babysitter.
Marry me. Marry me.
I can't.
Marry me.
But oh no, Jacob called dibs and he wants her. And things get worse when that evil vampire from the first film wants revenge. Oh yeah, wasn't that like a big thing at the end of the first film? Like, oh, she's gonna get him, just you wait, and then they forgot about her in movie 2. Well, she's back in movie 3! Yeah, if you called her the League of Shadows, this suddenly be brilliant. And they have an amazing plan to throw her off their trail. Have Jacob carry Bella, shirtless of course, so her scent will be disguised by his scent.
Your scent will mask mine if you carry me.
Go to Wolf coming up.
Yeah, we were gonna have you two bow and like, well, a Twilight porno parody, but what do you think this is? A Twilight porno parody?
Is this a trick question?
No, that'll be the next one. They do end up defeating the evil vampire after Bella cock teases Jacob some more.
Kiss me. I'm asking you to kiss me.
You know, screw these two camps. I'm setting up a Team Sanity tent. But ultimately, she goes with Edward and agrees to marry him. Don't cry, Jacob. You're kind of escaping a cult. I don't know, everyone in these movies acts so batshit crazy. The further you get away from him, the healthier you're probably gonna be. But unfortunately, we can't get away as we have to partake in the absolute worst of the bunch. Oh, you better take a break. I have to prepare for this. So in 2011, Breaking Dawn Part 1 was released. It was 2 parts because Harry Potter did it. You know, not having enough movies, and then everyone was like, oh, I didn't know we could money this way. 2 parts it is. Anyway, Breaking Dawn Part 1 is easily the worst one. It has its dumb, laughably idiotic moments like the others, but it's also crazy unpleasant. Like, who the hell would go back and watch this a second time? I remember looking forward to watching this and laughing my ass off like the other movies, but this was one of the most unenjoyable experiences I ever had watching a film. What the hell director put this together? That totally tracks. So it opens with Edward and Bella getting married, and her dream of becoming a vampire, kinda, is about to happen. Yeah, I forgot to mention, she really wants to be bitten by Edward and live forever. So, you know, all you teens afraid of death, you should be. Live forever, throw yourself off a cliff. Either works, these movies are garbage. Anyway, Edward takes her to see the boy who tried to steal her away. Cause you know, it's a sign of real love.
Everything's perfect now.
They dance in the most awkward of silences. My heart's as warmed as Dippin' Dots. And then he starts yelling at her and manhandling her because she says she's gonna bonk Edward while she's still human.
It's really none of your business.
You are joking. You can't be serious, Bella. Tell me you're not that stupid.
You see what I mean? It's instantly miserable. Now it does bounce back with some of that fun Twilight craziness as when Bella and Edward finally do the deed, it results in this. That's the kind of stupidly fun stupid I'm looking for. It gets uncomfortable again though when she's covered in bruises. Edward's ashamed and Bella's like, nah, I love it.
Don't ruin this.
I've already ruined it.
I mean, it was amazing for me.
Which, okay, I guess it's consensual and everything, but does anyone else feel odd an audience of teens are watching a boy leave bruises on a girl during a lovemaking scene and the film's like, this is fine?
Why can't you see how perfectly happy I am?
I don't know, maybe I'm overthinking it, but things get complicated when she discovers a little Vlad is cooking in the oven.
I know that it's impossible, but I think that I'm pregnant.
At first I didn't know what they were talking about when they were saying this is impossible as, yeah, vampires can't produce babies, but they can't sparkle and should be able to turn to bats and sleep in coffins and hypnotize people. I really thought they were just vampires in name only. How was I supposed to know you're suddenly sticking to the script? Regardless, everyone acts like a little demon is growing inside her, and again, there's just this relentless nastiness to the movie.
Carla, we'll get that thing out.
Thing.
What is it? Take it out of her.
The fetus isn't good for Bella.
I can see what that thing's doing to you.
I can feel him.
I don't know what it's trying to do or say, but it's the equivalent of Captain Planet talking about AIDS. You're clearly not talented enough to talk about it. So yeah, the baby is sucking the life out of her. The rest of the movie is pretty much just watching her die while she gives birth.
Get him out now!
How romantic. And after she does finally pop the kid out, Jacob goes to kill this thing. Like, what is happening? And then, I honestly don't know how to explain this. He sees the baby and instantly falls in love.
That is awful.
I shit you not. They call it imprinting, and Jacob is destined one day to be this kid's special fuzzy friend.
Ew, please let that be the end of your speech.
Honestly, I had such a hard time following it and hated everything else so much, I couldn't even register what the hell it was saying. The only thing I remember about this ending is that it did lead to one cool shot after Edward bites her and turns her into a vampire. That is a cool final image. In a multitude of terrible. Seeing this again just brought back all the uncomfortable feelings I had watching it the first time. There is just nothing enjoyable about it. The final installment better get back to the bullshit I'm used to. Now this is the trash I signed up for. In 2012, the final installment, Breaking Dawn 2, was released. Like the others, it's quite bad, but it is hands down the most entertainingly bad. I couldn't believe this was the same director as the previous one. I mean, apart from it being dog shit, but it's some of the wackiest canine feces this film could throw at you. After Bella becomes a vampire, she visits her baby daughter. If that's what you can call this, when did this become a Baby Geniuses movie? Oh, if you're wondering why they went CG with this and didn't just get a real baby, it was actually to cover up a worst effect. I shit you not, this was the original baby they had. I'm instantly in love with this movie. Can I imprint on this film? I'm instantly in love with this movie. Speaking of which, Jacob tells Bella he imprinted on her, or she imprinted on him.
You imprinted on my daughter?
It wasn't my choice.
I'm still not following this, but I'm pretty sure saying that doesn't make things better. And for whatever reason, he calls her Nessie.
It was Nessie who wanted me there.
You nicknamed my daughter after the Loch Ness Monster?
What the hell am I watching? Despite her real name being...
Renesmee.
Go back to calling her the Loch Ness Monster. Nessie starts growing at a rapid pace. Hey, Jacob, you'll be able to get that in about a year's time. Yeah, okay, this is pretty creepy. But the Vampire Council hears about the child and decides she must be killed. The whole film is basically building up this big battle and at long last using some of the money these movies made to go into its effects. You know, after a while. And it pays off in a big showdown.
Young Bella.
Now keep in mind, Michael Sheen is already acting pretty odd in this, even by Twilight standards. But when they bring Nessie over, he gives a reaction, I'm just gonna say it, justifies all these terrible movies' existence. Do me right now, movie. We'll do it on the death. Draw me like one of your French girls! What in all of cinematic history was that? I burst out laughing in the theater and half the audience joined me. Even Twilight fans couldn't believe they were seeing what they were seeing. That cackle has brought me so much joy over the years. If I'm ever in a bad mood, I just put that on and it's like instant better. The only thing to make this even more amazing is an interview Sheen did where, no joke, I had to rewind this to make sure I heard what I heard.
The one that's in this film is actually probably the most subtle, toned down version of the ones that we did on set.
What the hell did he do in those other takes? Was he like, I am going on a National Treasure style hunt to find that footage? As if things couldn't possibly get any crazier, it breaks out one of the silliest, wackiest, but also crazily entertaining fights I've seen in anything. Limbs are flying, heads are being ripped off, the friggin' earth opens up. Absolutely none of it looks real, but that just adds to the craziness. It's like an Asylum-style Marvel movie. Where was all of this in the other films? All of this fun seems too good to be true, and wouldn't you know it, it is. Yep, none of that happened. It's all just a vision to show what would happen if the leader of the council attacks. No kidding, it was the first time in all my screenings of these movies I actually heard the audience boo a little. It took 5 films, but we got there. As if that wasn't enough, these random vampires from somewhere else show up and say, oh yeah, human vampire babies are totally a thing. It's cool.
I am half human, half vampire.
Things that could have been brought to my attention yesterday!
So the council pisses off and Edward and Bella live happily ever after waiting for Jacob to bone their kid.
Should I start calling you Dad? No.
Never show that edit again. This movie is so out of its mind, it's hard to believe it's a Twilight movie. Yes, the others are stupid, but this one has life, energy, and effects that clearly can't keep up with that life and energy, but in a weird way that kind of gives it even more life and energy. It is the best kind of bad to end this series on. And with all that said, by God, this series is terrible. But is there any harm in showing it to younger people? Well, I personally think so, as its messages are horrendous. But then again, I didn't really see an increase of girls tossing themselves off cliffs so their boyfriends can simp for them. Maybe it's to some audiences like what old Disney films are to me. They're fairy tales. You're not supposed to literally find your true love in 3 days. It's an abbreviated and exaggerated story. That's what fairy tales are. Maybe that's the mindset younger people had watching this, but it probably goes without saying, this is no Snow White. These are absolute garbage movies, but they can be laughable garbage, and I guess do reflect a time when this is what young people were looking for in a romantic fantasy. We all have our crap we grew up with, but it is definitely crap. And as long as we don't take it too seriously, maybe we can look back and cringe, chuckle, and yes, grow away from it. I am finding those outtakes. With the curse of video game movies being plagued for so long, one does have to ask the question, was this really so hard? The Super Mario Bros. Movie more than replaced its predecessor that came out 30 years earlier, and is the latest hit that's asking the question, you know, if you make it like what people enjoyed originally, does a sequel or adaptation have to suck? Though many were concerned with the bizarre casting choices and often juvenile studio making it, the fact is Super Mario Bros. Is a movie that really only Illumination could make. Most of the other studios would try too hard to make it a self-sufficient, multi-layered, important movie, and that's not really what most people wanted. We wanted Mario Bros. Bright, silly, simple. It's not a movie that tried too hard, it's a movie that tried hard enough. Nobody really wants a complex plot when it comes to these characters in this world, but they want something that still represents what we like about these characters and this world. And you can feel the love for all of that in this flick. It famously didn't get much praise from critics, but it's hard to say it really got trashed. It still technically has the majority of critics liking it, but it's just not the overwhelming majority. It's not that surprising. I mean, if you're an adult who didn't grow up with Mario Brothers, I don't know how entertaining this very clear Nintendo commercial is gonna be. But there's been other clear commercials out there we've gotten into and found a lot of charm in. With that said, is it perfect? That's a Take On Me song reference of no. It still has problems like most Illumination films do, but I think fans agree when they think of what a Super Mario Bros. Movie would be like, this is about as close as it gets. So what are the strengths, weaknesses, and earworms we're still trying to decide if we're sick of or not? Well, let's take a closer look. This is Never Going Back, the Super Mario Bros. Movie. This movie's already trying to show up Disney saying, hey, we can dick up our castles as much as you can. One of the most enjoyable elements for any fan is how well the music incorporates the Nintendo themes. Brian Tyler is a crazily underappreciated composer, and he did a damn good job working in Koji Kondo's music while still keeping it cinematic.
Does this thing work?
Yes.
Also a big thank you for not having Jack Black sing Bowser's theme.
Open the gates!
On that note, as I know a lot of people have said, Jack Black is probably the best casting choice in the movie.
Do you yield? I do not.
He steals a star from this kingdom of penguins and has both the threatening base yet comedic bounciness a villain like this needs.
I finally found it, and now no one can stop me!
Nobody except a callback to an 80s show with Bad King that technically should have keyed Luigi out too. Kevin missed opportunity.
Oh, we're the Mario Brothers, and plumbing's a game. We're not like the others who get all the fame.
Well, it's no Dick Ray.
Forget the expensive plumbing companies where you're just a face.
They kind of cleverly show why the Charles Martinet Mario voice wouldn't have worked for the entire movie while also giving a loving nod.
What about the accent? Is it too much? Too much? It's perfect! Wahoo!
Mario this time is voiced by Chris Pratt, which, like I said, had a lot of controversy behind it. He's fine. Before Mario 64, I always saw Mario as having more of a deep, raspy Brooklyn voice, kinda like what Bob Hoskins or the cartoon had.
The only thing miraculous I know is that we're still eating.
Now we're gonna clog you out of the Mushroom Kingdom.
But Pratt isn't distracting as the voice, he's just serviceable. It's not the voice I think of when I see the character, but I'm also not thinking of him in the recording studio saying these lines either. It's an okay in between.
I am so glad we spent our life savings on this commercial.
That is not a commercial. That is cinema.
Not true. Critics also reviewed that commercial and disliked it just as much.
Our mom called and she said, "Oh boys, that's the best commercial I've ever seen."
Charlie Day plays his brother, Luigi. He's fine. I actually thought he would be the best thing in this movie, as I'm a big fan of his stuff, but like Pratt, he doesn't really add much, but he doesn't take away much either. Which is good, as your eye's gonna constantly be darting for all the Nintendo Easter eggs in this. Yeah, they are everywhere. And you know, it seems like every franchise movie is doing this, but let's just say it, there's a right way and a wrong way to do it. There's references that feel distracting and desperate, like it's a cheap way to show they understand the property when really all they're doing is acknowledging they know it exists. But something like the DuckTales reboot, the Spider-Verse films, and yes, this, shows there's a cleverness, excitement, and even love for building this world. It's cool knowing Mayor Pauline is in this universe. Apparently Little Mac opened a restaurant. Jumpman is this world's version of Mario, which was another name for him. They're both in-jokes and world-building tools that make me want to know more about this environment rather than distract from it. Even the side-scrolling shtick I thought was a little lame the first time I saw it, but I kinda like the comparison that running through a battlefield is pretty similar to just getting through New York. The more I let it sit, the more it kinda grew on me.
Hello, Super Mario Brothers.
It's Uncle Frank! He says he can play your part if you ever get canceled for some dumb reason! Yeah, just because Pratt is passable doesn't mean I can't fantasize about better choices. They're called in to fix a leak at a fancy residence, but the secret life of Cujo causes trouble because they destroyed his toy. So this is another example of the movie working just well enough. If this was only them fixing this leak and water going everywhere, it wouldn't be funny. But the addition of this incredibly expressive dog obsessing over their demise adds the right amount to make it pretty humorous. It's not hilarious, but it is funny. It works.
Found the problem.
The job obviously doesn't go well, and we see them go home to their family ashamed.
Hey-o!
What were you thinking with that commercial?
They give an Oscar for worst actors? What'd I do?
And let me get this straight. Mario is seen as an Italian stereotype, but nobody had a problem with animated Moonstruck here?
I wouldn't quit your day job.
Oops, he already did.
I don't spare them the original script. Literally, it was just an entire page of everybody going, "Hey!" Charles Martinet also voices Mario's father, which is again not only a nice in-joke, but allows people who think he only does Mario's voice to see he can play different roles.
You don't leave a steady job for some crazy dream. And the worst part, you're bringing your brother down with you.
He's just upset because he never became the golf star he always wanted to be. Seriously, you have to stand far back to even notice that one.
Hey.
Don't you think it's a little weird you're playing, you know? Nah, you want real confusing? Sonic is playing TurboGrafx 16 next door. Wait, what? But it looks like there's some bad news on the news.
A water main burst underground today, flooding downtown Brooklyn.
Scapilli.
Somebody save Brooklyn!
Luigi, this is our chance!
Okay, so this is a crazy nitpick, but Mario's human hands without his gloves kinda looks like ugly Sonic's human teeth. I didn't know I'd be horrified by that until I saw it. Mario tells Luigi they should fix the epic leak, so they head into the sewers.
You gotta get to that pressure valve!
Mamma mia!
I don't know, Mario. This feels very teleporty to me. I'm getting the Warriors of Virtue or something worse vibe down here. Luigi continues to feed his green fetish, getting sucked into a mysterious green pipe and taking Mario with him, separating them along the way.
I'm taking you to see the princess. She can help you.
Keegan-Michael Key plays Toad. He's not this.
Here we go! The Mushroom Kingdom!
Mushrooms, really? Now that is a cruel twist of fate.
Not since Popeye hating spinach have I wanted a bigger reaction but didn't care. I don't know if liking green eggs and ham can be an arc. Why not mushrooms?
I need to see the princess.
I never heard of any princess.
Oh, wait, I did. Our princess, though, is in another castle.
The thing! He said the thing! Yeah, not all the callbacks are good. Toad turns this into a Zelda game for a moment, and we're introduced to Princess Peach, played by Anya Taylor-Joy. She's fine. She's about as just interesting enough as the rest of the cast.
I'm going to convince the Great Kong Army to help us.
I will admit, I was a touch concerned the plot was about saving Luigi instead of her, as, yes, it is a pain she always has to be rescued, but then again, that is the trope, save the princess. It's like one of the oldest tropes there is. But first off, there are several versions of Mario that play with that trope. My favorite being in the old Nintendo Power comics where she's kidnapped, breaks herself out while Mario breaks himself in, he gets kidnapped, she has to save him, and then they both get kidnapped and they have to figure out a way to save each other. That's a fun spin on the idea, and I like how if you really think about it, she's basically training him how to rescue her later. Okay, that's nothing brilliant, but it's creative enough. Second, Mario and Luigi grew up with each other. They already have a connection, there's already an incentive for Mario to save him. It's clear they want a romantic relationship between Mario and Peach, and you can't build that if they don't spend time together. Plus, with Luigi's newer personality being a scaredy cat, I think this works okay.
Their mad king doesn't make alliances. The Kongs will never agree.
Anyone who doesn't laugh at how seriously that line is delivered does not get why this film is supposed to be funny. Mario tells Peach about his missing brother, and because she hasn't seen a human in years, she takes pity on him and invites him to help out.
How am I supposed to do that?
With the power-ups. They give us special abilities.
Yeah, I love they don't even try to explain the logic of power-ups, or the lore, or the backstory, or stick Mario in a car for an hour. Everyone knows it's a video game movie. Just be a video game movie. With that said, 2023, stop trying to ruin I Need a Hero for me. Nobody's gonna top Shrek 2. They own it. Stop trying to top Shrek 2! He does well enough, and they decide to journey to the Kongs to see if they'll join their battle against Bowser. You know, why do the rulers in this world put their faces on everything? You know this is a Mario movie, right? I'm Nintendo's Mickey Mouse. I'm the cash cow.
I will protect you.
A toad brave enough to join me.
Wow, how has this world not gotten taken over yet? For that matter, I just realized his name is Toad and yet they're all called Toads?
Just don't hurt my toads!
Is that like when you meet a guy named Guy? You know it's stupid to think about, but it's all you can think about. We see Luigi as Bowser's prisoner just as he's announcing his evil plan.
I will ask their princess to marry me in a fairy tale wedding!
I don't know why any of us never put together he was gonna be a simp for Peach in this. I mean, it's in like every version. But something about seeing it as the focus of a movie just makes it so much funnier.
Doesn't she hate you?
Of course she hates me. But that makes me love her all the more.
Maybe because there's a threatening voice to go with it, maybe because he's surrounded by threatening imagery, maybe because we don't really know his motivation until the start of the second act, but it's surprisingly pretty funny.
Her heart-shaped bangs, the way she floats in the breeze, her immovable tiara.
And yeah, where are we with this song now?
Peaches, 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 peaches.
Well, according to the overplayed song list, we're past the legit goodness of Blame Canada, having quite hit the apocalyptic annoyance of Macarena, just a little under the flip-flopping between love and hate of Let It Go, just under the I'm annoyed, but I think I like it ironically of Rebecca Black's Friday. And we finally reached the just good enough to make us forget about that weird cameo in Mandalorian. Not bad for a song that's not even a minute long. Yet one of the biggest complaints from a lot of people, which I guess is a good problem to have, is the film could have been a little longer. Every scene I feel like could have benefited from just one more minute of screen time. Like we go into Peaches.
Peaches, 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 peaches.
Okay, you're rising up on the list, man. backstory, and it's not even a minute and a half long. She says she just appeared out of a warp pipe and the Toads made her their ruler.
When I was ready, they made me their princess.
Which makes it even stranger that she's called princess. There's nobody above her. I don't think people know what the term means anymore. It just sounds pretty. Regardless, look at this place. Listen to that backstory. We want to enjoy this a little more. We waited a long time to see this world on the big screen. Have enough confidence in your film to slow down and let us enjoy it. Not that Luigi needs any help waiting, as he's imprisoned with henchmen? Yeah, what'd they do? They walk back and forth in the wrong direction or glitch, accidentally giving infinite one-ups. And I know a franchise film is working when I want to know more where a character is from. I never saw this thing before, but man, do I want to play Super Mario Galaxy because of him.
The only hope is the sweet relief of death.
I love this kid. What kind of things does he say in the game? Okay, I'll just imagine a Majora's Mask backstory or something. Our heroes make it to the Kongs and need a reminder this is an Illumination movie. You know, for the random cast we've had in this movie, I'm surprised the halfway point is when we got our first Pointless pop song. I need a hero at least has some connection. This is just a guy wearing a sports coat. Hey look, Mario's wearing red, like that red guy from Eyes Wide Shut. So? I don't know, it'll make us $1 bazillion anyway. They're taken to their leader, Cranky Kong, played by Fred Armisen. He's the worst thing in the movie.
You're worthy of fighting alongside the greatest army in the world!
Yeah, who would have thought out of all these weird choices, Fred Armisen would be the worst one? I have no idea what they're trying to do with this voice.
I heard you want my army. Guess you're not getting my army. You're welcome, Mario.
Why couldn't they get someone like Larry David? He would have worked. Was there just not enough crypto offered or something?
Are you two done whispering? It's a little rude. No, that's not it. He's gonna arrive at the Mushroom Kingdom by sundown. All right, tough guy. You want my army so badly? Yeah, I know. Since I want the...
He's awful.
And yeah, I know a guy who screeches for a living is giving this dude a hard time about his voice, but as I get older, I can't do that screechy voice anymore. Fred Armisen's a lot older than me. So what's his excuse?
Lucky for you guys, I got a shortcut. Well, what are you waiting for? Pick your card in the Great Ring of Cards!
God, it's like Jar Jar Binks getting choked down by singing Russell Crowe. Effort went into this suffering. Goddamn effort! They agree that if one of them can defeat his son, Prince Donkey Kong? Again, the royal hierarchy is not really a thing in this movie. He'll hand over his army. He's voiced by Seth Rogen. He's not Fred Armisen.
Hi, Dad! Hi! No, Dad, wait back!
Yeah, do you care how he is? All they have to do is play the Donkey Kong rap and you know you're theirs.
DJ! I'm Donkey Kong! I guess he got the wrong mushroom.
Thank you, yes. Any excuse to give him more lines, please do. Kong makes the Arthur fist and starts beating the crap out of Mario, but Mario gets a power-up, turning him into... Meowrio. I don't know, I'm not proud of that one. Now to piss on him to mock my territory. Oh my god, get this suit off! Aw, it was getting to the best part. I'm aroused. The Kongs join their army and they take their carts to Rainbow Road to try to ambush Bowser, who is clearly distracted.
Will you marry me?
Oh, yes! What?
Okay, I love how the Koopa Wizard is angry too, like he was really getting into that.
Like, don't you know I'm bringing somebody's fanfiction to life?
Oh, they think they can surprise me, huh? Two can play at that game.
Bowser sends his forces to Rainbow Road, and this is hands down the coolest part of the movie. Again, how many people have played Mario Kart and imagined an action sequence like this on the big screen? It has a ton of energy, color, imagination. It's like Mad Max Sugar Rush. Aha! I activated the anti-gravity converter. Oh, you don't care. Just hear me say wahoo. We're given the Fox News logo during Pride Month as one of the drivers goes Koopa Kazi and blue shells himself into Mario and Donkey Kong. Quick! Use the game, Genie!
Princess Peach.
Bowser confesses his love to her while also threatening Toad if she doesn't marry him.
I'll marry you. Just don't hurt my toads.
And that's the bravest Toad they got. Why were there even guards in this kingdom? I mean, their weapon of choice is frying pans half the time. Shouldn't that be their enemy?
Time for a wedding.
Peach agrees to marry him, and oh yeah, there's a brother in this Mario Brothers movie. Well, goodbye. We have to deal with Mario and Donkey Kong not getting along, but bonding over their disapproving fathers.
At least you're not gonna die with your dad thinking you're a joke.
And well, my dad thinks I'm a joke, too.
Yeah, this is the one time I don't really mind the movie being that short. Really. Do you want to hear these guys talking about their dads, or do you want them to give you a Smash Brothers opening? Yes, this isn't a game, it's a movie, but it's a movie that knows its audience, and the audience wants it to be like the game. Nobody's expecting father issues, it's the fun of the games in the form of a movie. We need a platform just to get us from point A to point B. Moments like this are those moving platforms just to get you to what you really want to focus on, the colorful action. And when it gets to that, it does it well. I'll save you, Princess. Oh, Luigi, that's right, I forgot you were in this.
Destroy the Mushroom Kingdom!
They have a big battle that probably has one too many slow-mo shots. Late 2000s, Zack Snyder called. He asked if this guy can be trusted. And everyone gets warped back to New York. Admittedly, this is a little bit of a weird spot to have the climax, and honestly, I kind of forgot how similar some of these beats were to the '93 version. But again, it is a movie, and they want to give these two a way of proving themselves to their family, so it only makes sense to have an environment where their family can watch. I don't need a mansion to be brave! What? You want a mansion? No, yeah, actually, can I get that? The two of them get the star and use their newfound power to defeat Bowser. Funny, I thought taking the shrooms would cause me to see a glow like that. They take out the henchman and Bowser is shrunk down after being fed the blue mushroom.
Let's hear it for the Super Mario Brothers!
He said the thing again. Do they really need to keep justifying this title? So after they finally win the respect of their Brooklyn family and all of the city of New York, they of course move to the Mushroom Kingdom.
Yeah, sure.
But wait, there's more! That was kinda ruined earlier because we already saw the Yoshis, but whatever. Still less scary than a sequel to this being promised. And that was the Super Mario Brothers movie. Fun in all the ways we want a Mario movie to be fun, and serviceable in all the ways we don't mind it being serviceable. It's rare we get a video game movie that really allows us to embrace the world we enjoy playing for so many years. And it's even more rare that it's told in such a likable manner. It's clear this isn't a particularly deep story with deep characters, but it brings to life that world we all used to go to as kids. The world you created when you played with your toys or drew colorful drawings or, yes, played a video game. The simplicity feeds into the imagination without being insulting to it. Now, I will admit, when they do a sequel, it is when, it's not if, that's when the story and characters probably need to be upped a bit. This is a ton of fun for now, but we do want it to grow and evolve. Not a ton, but still a little bit. There'll no doubt be missteps along the way, just like there were with this movie, but as long as they represent the same excitement and joy the makers clearly had in making this film and translating that to audiences who have the same excitement and joy watching it, many of us will be down for finding the princess in another castle. Despite me making a ton of jokes at its expense, I never really saw that much Pokemon. Unlike Power Rangers or Captain Planet, which I did watch enough to get an idea about, Pokemon I made fun of because it was just everywhere. It was easy to spoof how strange it was, how overexposed it was, and of course, what an obvious marketing ploy it was. Gotta catch 'em all? Jesus, and I thought my generation was all about commercial tie-ins. But what am I supposed to do? I don't have time to watch the entire series, and even the first movie, it was hard for me to gather how this world worked. Well, as an olive branch, I'm gonna review the one movie you apparently don't need to know that much about Pokemon in order to follow, Detective Pikachu. Released in 2019, I'll be honest, I thought this was a joke when I first saw the trailer. I had no idea this was based on a game of the same title. I was waiting for Pikachu to explode in a puddle of blood, revealing a burnt Ryan Reynolds saying this was all just an ad for Deadpool 3. But nope, this was a real thing, and it got okay reviews from audiences and critics. As someone who's mocked this franchise but never really followed it, I figure this is the perfect one to look over and, I suppose, bury the Pokemon hatchet. So because my relationship with Pokemon fans is worth more than some stupid running gag, so we definitely don't want to do the joke anymore?
I don't think so.
I'm going to be fair and give Pokemon a chance. This is my take on Detective Pikachu. The film opens in a lab where a Pokemon, or pocket monster for you newbies, here's a complete list of those losers, is being experimented on. He's the most powerful Pokemon named Mewtwo. And I gotta give credit to any series that names their most powerful entity Mewtwo. It's kind of like calling Darth Vader Schnickerdoodle Shucks. It just makes me smile. He subtly escapes and hunts down a car driving off. Ooh, I hope crashing car becomes one of his moves on Smash Brothers. Cut to our main character named Tim, who's a young man trying to catch a Pokemon. He's played by Justice Smith. Must find a clip from a past performance to sum up my reaction. That'll do. Okay, despite him being annoying as balls in Fallen Kingdom, he's honestly totally fine here, as his best friend Jack is trying to find him the perfect Pokemon to bond with.
That is the perfect Pokemon for you. Jack, I'm not looking for a Pokemon. I've told you this.
I have my career to think about, and you know the sex is always awkward. He convinces Tim to try and catch him with a Pokeball, leading to a pretty funny line.
Catching a Pokemon is not about skill, so you can do this.
I'm realizing I hate you. And he tries to get close to him.
Not everyone can pull off wearing the skull of their dead relative.
Okay, this is a world I want to know more about. The Pokemon has to choose its owner as well, and this one clearly didn't like paper towns.
That was one angry Cubone. He reminded me a lot of my mom.
She wore the skull of my grandma on her head. It was a whole thing. Give props to a film ballsy enough to say staying at a secure insurance job makes you a loser, but taking off playing Pokemon with your friends is the ultimate sign of success. What am I saying? It kind of is.
Everyone we know has left town, and now I'm leaving too.
Gonna get a promotion real soon.
What's the promotion for an insurance appraiser? You're gonna make me throw up.
Next you'll be telling me you don't live with your mother complaining on forums why Star Trek was more destroyed than Star Wars. He gets a call, though, that there was an accident.
The Rhyme City Police Department.
I wonder what they want to tell me down at the police station. Oh God, Dad! Yes, it looks like it was his father who was killed in that car crash. But don't worry, this film knows how to balance tragedy and humor.
Argument, please do. Thank you. Thank you.
Is anyone missing a clitoris with a tongue? He's shown a video about the history of Pokemon and humans, and sue me, I think this is funny.
Early humans used to catch them and train them to use their unique powers for the common good.
Ironically, this was taken from a time when Pokemon were enslaved and the prophet Moses Mon said, "Let my Bulbasaurs go." But don't worry, they love living in a robot Santa's testicle now.
One man changed all of this.
Company Man?
Howard Clifford.
I didn't know he was Company Man. He apparently created a city where people and Pokemon live side by side where they don't have to be captured.
The cure I was looking for was for me to evolve into a better version of myself. And I discovered how to do that through a partnership with Pokemon.
He did it. Yeah, tough mystery, right? It's kind of like figuring out who framed Roger Rabbit. It could be anyone! But much like that movie, the focus isn't really the mystery as much as the comedic setup and imagination of the world they create. And despite the effects not really being anything spectacular, I can't really say they're bad either. There's clearly effort put into the textures, movement, and personalities of these creatures. They just don't always look like they're really there. They don't look real, but they look good. Okay, I will love this movie to death if this is all a Paranoia Agent tie-in.
Hi, Tim.
He meets up with Lieutenant Yoshida, played by Ken Watanabe, because let's face it, he's the Asian Carl Urban of being in geek stuff, who gives condolences on losing his father.
If you were anything like your dad.
I'm not. I was just really raised by my grandmother. Do you have the spare keys for his apartment? I should go wrap things up there.
I'll just pick up my emotional baggage and head back to my apartment of issues.
This job, it demands a lot, but you are on his mind every day.
It was nice to meet you, Lieutenant.
You will believe people can actually act with a feisty pet toy looming in the background. This movie's weird. He goes to his father's apartment where he comes across a reporter named Lucy, played by Catherine Newton.
I've been waiting to see who would open up that mailbox. You just walked into quite a story.
I have to admit I thought this was going to be another bland, tough woman with no personality, but they quickly established that's what she's trying to be and isn't especially good at it.
Stories like this spread fear, and they're afraid of fear. But I don't fear fear. I walk the walk and I talk the talk, and I'm willing to do whatever it takes to get the honest scoop, and that's the hard truth.
In a Disney remake, that'd be seen as really good dialogue.
I work for the CNN blog, making Pokemon listicles all day, okay? Top 10 cutest Pokemon.
Yeah, my grandma loves those.
Yeah, newsflash, they're all cute.
Oh, I don't know, flatulence is a little off-putting. She smells a story, but Tim has no answers for her, so he goes up to the apartment where he finds a movie is left on.
Leave it on the doorstep and get the hell out of here.
All right, Johnny, but what about my money?
I wasn't particularly connecting this to the Home Alone universe, but to their credit, stranger things have happened in that franchise. He comes across Ivan Ooze's bowel movement, which gets exposed to some of the Pokemon outside, turning them into blood-hungry animals. But that doesn't distract him from the real discovery, a Pikachu, voiced by Ryan Reynolds.
Stop talking! You're a hallucination!
You're a hallucination.
Clearly not with Deadpool's writers. I'll admit I was kinda hoping for more funny lines out of him, but truth be told, it is humorous seeing that cute little fuzzball have this voice.
Help! Help! Oh my god, help!
Again, I'd probably play him more in Smash Brothers if that was the voice he came with.
No one's coming! People are so insensitive!
The other Pokemon attack, though, and they flee for their lives. They eventually go back to normal, and Tim tries explaining to everyone what's going on. But nobody can understand Pikachu but him.
Excuse me, hi, sorry. You can hear him, right? You can hear him talking. It's that stuff that I put up my nose. Not like that.
Again, I have to give credit to a Pokemon movie that acknowledges cocaine exists.
Pat me or they kiss me, they stick a finger in me.
As well as that. Pikachu admits he was his father's Pokemon, but he has memory loss, so he can't remember that much.
Talking Pikachu with no memories who's addicted to caffeine.
I could stop whenever I want. Another round. Black as night, thank you, sweetie.
Okay, I'm sure whatever he said makes sense to Pokemon fans, but to me, that's just a hilarious sound. I can play that at the most random movie moments, and it would instantly make them better.
What are you?
I'm only you killed him. No. I am your...
I'm just decreeing that the new Kristen Shaw. Nothing can be too bad if that's in it. Pikachu doesn't think Tim's father is dead and asks him to help out, seeing how he's the only one who can understand it.
There's magic that brought us together, and that magic is called hope. Hope that Harry is still alive.
That way he can offer so many more years of neglecting you. Tim reluctantly agrees, and they search the apartment for clues.
Should we talk about the fact that your childhood bed is a Pikachu bed? I've never been so flattered and creeped out at the same time.
I find that hard to believe from Ryan Reynolds.
Look, what about this?
That's my mom. She passed away when I was 11.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize.
I didn't realize we were doing those kind of cliches. Do I sing you a song or wait for the Disney Channel logo to pop up in the corner? How does this work?
This is what a Frenchman would call caliente fiesta.
They discover the test tube that had the purple smoke and realize that must have set off the violent Pokemon. They tried to visit Lucy to give her the story, but it looks like she's not being taken very seriously.
Find a source. Oh, and pro tip, a reasonable sense of fashion.
Hey, piss off. Everyone will be wearing the Cracker Jack.
I found something in Harry's desk.
No, not here.
He shows her his test tube in her office. Did not mean for that to come out that way. Leading to another great line.
This isn't an office, it's a coffin with pencils.
He's like Mushu, he's got his moments. It looks like she came across other test tubes, just like the one that he found, and she tells him they were found at the docks. Because any film with the word detective in the title always has to have docks. Hey, I'm not complaining, I love film noir tropes. I just wish this wasn't the femme fatale. They come across a suspect called Mr. Mime, and I don't know if I have a soft spot for mime hate or if this is legitimately funny, but this is the most hilarious scene in the movie.
He's barely moving.
Don't tell him that. He's on a bike. Come on, he thinks he's getting away. Look, quick. Stop. Oh, no.
I'm not sure why mime scenes are so funny in films and TV. Maybe because they're like Sean Penn or Kanye West, where you know they have legit talent, but they're so damn annoying you can't help but smile when something bad happens to them.
Oh, what's this? Oh, there's a door there. That's a jug.
In a great bit of writing, Tim forces him to reveal what he knows by pouring fake gasoline on him and lighting a fake match.
That went dark fast. I like this. I like this very much.
I like how it cuts away so we never know what happened after this imaginary fire was lit. I like to think he went insane and is still convinced he's burning even to this day, which is tricky because you have to put him in a mental institution and a burn ward. Tim and Pikachu make their way to a Pokemon cage fight. I'm not gonna lie, these things are pretty damn cool. And the owner says he'll give answers if Pikachu fights to get revenge for his previous loss. That's eerily similar to how someone actually playing Pokemon reacts. Tim helps him out, but the owner's gas accidentally fills the room, sending the Pokemon on a rampage. No, we have a dead mother and Zootopia's plot! There's only so much Disney we can lift here!
It comes from the doctor! That's all I know!
They get the answers they're looking for, but they also get arrested. I don't know why, but the acting gets really good whenever these two are in a scene together.
It's very difficult coping with loss. Denial can be a...
No, I'm not in denial! I'm right! I know it! He's out there!
To a point where you're kind of like, oh yeah, there's a SpongeBob rat in this.
I never wanted to show you this.
Tim sees footage of the car crash, convincing him that his father is dead, and he admits he wishes he made an attempt to see his father when he was alive.
Because I never gave him the chance.
Look, I may not have memories, but I know this much. It wasn't your fault.
Is an emotional speech by Ryan Reynolds as Pikachu moving or stupidly hilarious?
I'm sure that if your dad was here, he would hug you so hard, your bones would pop.
Okay, you're lucky you got good actors for this. Agent Smith Antha persuades them to visit Mr. Clifford, who admits the chemical called R is from his son, Roger.
I hired Harry to trace it to its source. Imagine my shock when the answer turned out to be my own son.
Yeah, that's right. Halfway through and we discovered who the bad guy is. There is only one movie dumb enough to be Snake Eyes, and it's Snake Eyes. I like Bill Nighy's performance in this because it looks like every second he's trying to explode out of his wheelchair and do Davy Jones, but he's barely holding it back.
Ever since my illness put me in this chair, Roger has taken over more and more of the company.
Do you fear Diglett? He tells him, though, that his father is alive and he recreated what happened to him via hologram. And I'll just say it, I think this whole movie was made just to hear a great actor dramatically say Mewtwo.
What is that?
Mewtwo.
That's as close to making that sound cool as I'm gonna get.
Created in a laboratory using DNA of the ancient Mew.
Don't push your luck, it only sounds sillier the more you say it. It looks like Mewtwo wiped Pikachu's memory and stole his father away. They have to figure out where he was taken, so they hit up Lucy, who once again isn't that great with the whole spy thing.
Just act casual.
There's nothing really casual about this. Sorry, that was my fault.
Ow! The spy who dumped me was more smooth than this! I don't know how I remember that movie either! She figures out where the secret lab is and they break into it. They discover Mewtwo's blood was used to make Chemical R, and Tim's father was part of capturing him.
This doesn't make any sense. Harry would have never been a part of this.
Want to believe that, kid? Neither of us can say for sure what Harry would or wouldn't do.
I mean, I didn't think the director of this could possibly do Shark Tale, but people surprise you! Several Pokemon escape, but it looks like that's the least of their problems. This is no cave!
At this point, how can you not believe in climate change?
I hate when Pokemon gets political. Through a very creative action sequence, they outrun a Pokemon whose whole entire body is a forest. Pikachu is injured, but Tim tries to encourage him to pull through.
I'm here, partner. I'm here.
You got my back.
Pikachu! Pikachu!
You know this is one of those scenes where the actor is thinking, please don't let this look stupid. This can so easily look stupid. Mewtwo appears though and heals him, revealing that Pikachu was on his side.
You've done well. Humanity's evil.
Mewtwo gets captured though, and Pikachu can't believe he was working with the enemy.
I'm the guy who betrayed Harry. I could betray you too.
You wouldn't do that. I don't care what I saw. I know who you are.
How do you know?
You're this series' cash cow. They're not gonna gamble on that. They just need a third act breakup. Pikachu abandons them, and Tim goes to talk to Howard during a Pokemon Pride Parade. I assume their flag is made entirely out of rainbow cards.
Roger must have sent the Greninjas to cause the crash.
Pikachu puts together that Mewtwo was trying to save him that night, and big shock, Howard was the man behind everything, transferring his consciousness into Mewtwo.
Well done, Tim. You and Harry's Pikachu led me straight to Mewtwo.
You know I can't get through a movie without being animated somehow!
Mewtwo has the power to transfer the soul of a human into the body of a Pokemon as long as the Pokemon are in a crazed state.
That's a very specific combination of things, but I am watching Foamy the Squirrel try to take over the world. I shouldn't be too picky. And because we haven't taken from enough movies yet.
The balloons. Our gas is in the balloons.
He's going to kill everybody!
The gas is released, and Howard, as Mewtwo, fuses the people and Pokemon together. Tim also finds out that Howard's son wasn't behind anything, as his Pokemon is a shapeshifter. That's okay, I didn't need any sleep tonight. I know people can merge with Pokemon, but I didn't know they could merge with James and the Giant Peach.
Let's do this!
Pikachu arrives, though, using his powers to stop him. They get the mind control thing from X2 off Howard's head, and Mewtwo is back to normal, returning everyone back to their original forms.
Are you okay? I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I pushed you away just when you needed me the most.
That's totally not gonna be a metaphor in a minute. Yeah, as much as I mock what an obvious mystery this is, I'll admit I didn't put together the big twist at the end. Pikachu is actually Tim's father, fused by Mewtwo. Yeah, I know it was obvious, but I don't watch the damn show. Blow me.
You've done well. Humanity is evil, but you have shown me that not all humans are bad.
So humanity is not evil. This was a strangely worded sentence that hopefully will not be cut off, as it would totally give the wrong impression to any onlookers.
Hey, kid.
So Tim is reunited with his father, who was the Green Lantern all along!
I think I'll have to find a new job. Maybe I could give detective work a try?
Oh Christ, there's no money in that. Why don't you be an insurance appraiser or something? And that was Detective Pikachu. It's not my thing, but that doesn't mean it's bad. Yes, it's formulaic and could be funnier, but it's also imaginative, has its heart in the right place, and at times can be pretty fun. Even though I didn't grow up with Pokemon, I can tell there's little touches all throughout this film that people who did grow up with it would recognize and appreciate. For me, it's like watching Roger Rabbit if you never grew up with cartoons. You could follow it okay, and it'd be fine, but you wouldn't have nearly as strong a connection with it as people who did grow up with cartoons. So I guess I'd say if you didn't grow up with Pokemon, it has enough to probably keep you interested, but if you did grow up with Pokemon, you'll most likely enjoy it a lot more. So there, I finally gave a Pokemon property a fair shot and found myself actually enjoying it in several parts. Is it for me? Not really, but I can see how others could get sucked into the variety and adrenaline it offers. So, if you like Pokemon but haven't seen this movie, check it out. I think you'll have a pretty good time. Okay, make whatever Simpsons has been on too long joke that you want, but I think I speak for many when I say this show truly has defined a generation of comedy. I'm really not kidding when I say maybe 80% of modern humor in media today can be traced back to The Simpsons. Every self-aware reference, cleverly overwritten line, visually surreal cutaways, and slight jab at popular culture most likely stem from this series. Truth be told, I think it's one of the most influential shows in television history. With that said, people argue its peak was roughly 1990 to 1995, and The Simpsons Movie wasn't even talked about seriously until 1997. But okay, just because something's not in its prime doesn't mean you can't still make a cinematic event out of it. The audience and excitement is still there. But it took so long to agree on ideas while still producing the show itself that the film didn't come out until 10 years later in 2007. This is long after The Simpsons themselves acknowledged they've probably been on too long.
They'll never stop the Simpsons. Have no fears, we've got stories for years.
Still, the film was a big deal when it came out, with a marketing bonanza that was all over the place, including a tie-in with 7-Eleven to turn all their convenience stores into Quickie Marts, filled with Simpson in-jokes. And I think we can all agree this stuff was probably better than the film itself. Okay, so I've never met anyone who hated this movie, but I've also never met anyone who loved it either. Honestly, I think if it came out 10 years earlier, it might have had more lasting power and been more influential. But compare the animation in this movie to a current Simpsons episode. Does it really look that different? When I saw it, people laughed and had a good time, but nobody really discussed it after. It was a properly big story with a properly big budget, but with similar jokes to what we saw on TV at the time. Which again, 10 years earlier would have been fine when that was a bit more fresh. I'd actually argue this film probably did most things correctly, except come out a decade earlier. But look, I don't like trash talking The Simpsons because they do still mean a lot to me, and to their credit, some of their newer seasons have had some real hits in them, and even tried to do something new here and there. I'm just here to look at both the impact and lack of impact their movie had when it came out 15 years ago. Because frankly, it is a film that's tricky to put in one box, and I find movies like that interesting. So, because it looks like we're suffering some delays as well.
Where'd you want this gasoline?
Oh, just pour it anywhere. Let's take a look at the Simpsons Movie. Oh, sorry, I put on Futurama by accident. This is actually an Itchy and Scratchy cartoon, and for all the spin-offs and crossovers we've had over the years, why hasn't Itchy and Scratchy gotten a show/movie of their own? Oh wait, they've kind of had a ton, haven't they? That weirdly might be the most beautifully composed shot in the movie. They do the missile shot that misled a lot of people in the trailer, which, okay, I know Simpsons is cartoony, but one missile is literally the size of Georgia. It's not that cartoony. And we discovered this is all a film the Simpsons are watching.
I can't believe we're paying to see something we get on TV for free.
If you present it that way, it'll come across that way. And yeah, that is the issue for a little bit of time. The first third isn't really a movie as much as leftover jokes they didn't use in the show. I mean, okay, the Itchy and Scratchy bit is pretty funny, but if you've been waiting years for a Simpsons movie like many of us did, is this really the big opening that would satisfy you?
Everybody in this theater is a giant sucker, especially you!
It seems thrown together last minute. Like, even these backgrounds flying by look a little cheaply animated. And I don't know, do you see any hints this movie started development in the 90s Green Day?
Gentlemen, it's been an honor playing with you tonight.
Ooh, and a Titanic reference. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, that made me laugh pretty hard. The kind of story kinda starts when the Simpsons go to church and Flanders has an announcement.
The good Lord is telling me to confess to something.
Gay.
Feel like his excitement for that should probably be a movie of its own. Maybe it is. Grandpa suddenly starts talking crazy, predicting the end of the world, leading to this pretty funny line.
Do something!
This book doesn't have any answers!
Or a reason why he's doing any of this. Yeah, they never do explain why Grandpa has this vision that accurately predicts the future. Though I guess Simpsons never will reveal how they can always tell what's gonna happen. My god, they were right! Our skulls are becoming our hair! Maybe he was referring to the trees looking like Papa Rappa the Rapper. Guys, it's 2007.
Check out Hornet's Nest.
Like I said, the first third of this movie works more like random jokes from the show than a cinematic narrative. Like, I totally forgot Lisa had a subplot with an Irish boyfriend in this. Because he just seems like an excuse to work in some more random laughs.
I'm Colin.
I haven't seen you at school.
Just moved from Ireland. My dad's a musician.
Is he?
He's not Bono.
I actually liked it more if they tried growing more of a relationship between her and Milhouse. At least I have a connection with him as opposed to this blando rando.
I am passionate about the planet.
Say global warming is a myth.
Further study is needed.
That's for selling out your beliefs.
Get used to that, Simpsons.
I am the mascot of an evil corporation.
Now everybody smile.
Can predict the future! Here's a joke somebody clearly threw out in the writer's room at the last minute. Oh! That's funny. Where do we put it? I don't know. It's a movie. We can tie things together as loosely as the show does.
Can't believe we're paying to see something we get on TV for free.
Yeah, that line's already not aging well. Anyway, we continue to get a lot of random jokes that almost feel like 22 short films about Springfield with occasional plot snuck in. Or if you still want to meme it, steamed hams without steamed hams. Haha, has anybody thought of that? No, really, has anybody thought of that? I'd be shocked if somebody hasn't. There is a steamed dog, though. Yeah, this film does try to earn its PG-13 by going a little edgier on the jokes, which is a touch out of character, but again, it's a movie. I want to see what they can't do on TV. No matter how a little uncomfortable it might be by today's standards.
Ha ha! Ha ha! Ha ha!
Bart is gonna be into some weird shit when he gets older. Should take him to the Dalai Lama, that'll straighten him out. This does lead into a subplot where Bart starts to prefer Flanders as a father because Homer is always absent and reckless, but has to fight for space for the subplot that deserves even more attention. Homer gets a pig! The story is essential to the first 30 minutes and then never returns in the rest of the movie.
Good friends kill the pig.
You can't kill him if he's wearing people clothes!
It's true. Why do you think so many pigs are mascots for delis?
How did the pig tracks get on the ceiling?
Spider Pig, Spider Pig.
And yes, Spider Pig was ruined for me by the constant advertising all over the place.
Does whatever a Spider Pig does.
The Simpsons Movie.
Spider Pig, Spider Pig.
The Simpsons Movie.
Does whatever a Spider Pig does.
The Simpsons Movie.
If Hans Zimmer didn't do an epic orchestral version of it as a joke that they then also threw in as a joke, I might have rated this obnoxious joke with, well, one of my jokes. Another slight issue is the pacing, which admittedly is tricky for writing like this. It wants to capture the comedy of the show, but still move at a cinematic speed. So sometimes the jokes will be one after another, not allowing any character moments to sink in.
You didn't bring my pants.
Who am I, Tommy Bahama?
This is the worst day of my life.
The worst day of your life so far.
Or it'll just hold on a joke randomly.
You smiled, I'm off the hook.
Just put Andrew Garfield standing there awkwardly and you won't notice. Because of this, the film often doesn't feel personal. It feels like a movie by committee. Like, the jokes are first and the story second, which, if the jokes were spectacular or doing something new, that'd be fine. But it truly is the same quality we always saw on the show.
I can't believe we're paying to see something we get.
Yeah, how many times am I gonna reference that? Okay, let's lighten up. Because for all these faults, there are still amazing laughs that crack me up for reasons that are honestly hard to explain. Like, why does them idiot-proofing the lake from being polluted more crack me up when they ask this idiot to dump something in it?
I can't. I simply can't.
I don't know. That's just kind of the magic of Simpsons writing. I can't deny whether they're character moments or standalone commentary, there are some zingers that do more than make me laugh. They delight the hell out of me. I love when Marge asks Homer if that silo outside the house is full of pig shit.
He filled up the whole silo in just 2 days?
Well, I helped.
Christ, that's hilarious. Moments like that make me overlook the past mistakes and say, okay, I want to stay for more moments like that. Homer ends up dumping the silo in the polluted lake, causing Springfield to become more dangerous than usual. This is brought to the head of the EPA, Russ Cargill, played by Albert Brooks, who brings us up to President Schwarzenegger, back when that was the funniest person we could imagine being president.
Everything's crisis this and end of the world that. Nobody opens with a joke. I miss Danny DeVito.
Get me Homer Simpson's brother. He sounds close enough. They declare Springfield is to be domed off. Steven did it! Resulting in objectively and personally the best joke in the movie. We're gonna be studying that joke years from now. This is where the film starts to get going. Most folks don't even remember what happens in this until the dome pops up. Maybe because it's finally a major conflict.
To prevent your poisons from spreading, your government has sealed you all within this dome.
Don't worry, this is all work of fiction. The government would never really do anything to help the environment.
We're trapped like rats?
No, rats can't be trapped this easily. You're trapped like carrots.
Right? You feel it too, like one editor picked the most random moments to hold on. But then a little touch like Marge knitting Dome Sweet Dome is hilarious. And you blink, you miss it. That's what makes it so funny. Like I said, I feel like one too many hands were probably chopping this up. It's eventually figured out that Homer was responsible, resulting in a mob wanting to take the Simpsons down.
Teeny, take out the baby!
Proof Maggie is the best character. Has she ever had a joke that didn't work?
Throughout the ages, the finger painter...
God damn it, how do you ruin Maggie? We get two edgy jokes back to back, one where they want to hang the family, including Maggie. Still standing by she's the best character. And one where they find a way through the sandbox and Homer gives them all the middle finger. Which I'm not sure how you do if you only have 4 fingers, but still pretty funny. The house sinks into the hole, which is actually some pretty sweet animation. Things really start to look and feel cinematic around this point.
Sir, I'm afraid you've gone mad with power.
Of course I have. You ever tried going mad without power? It's boring. No one listens to you.
Okay, it's close, but Albert Brooks might be the best Simpsons guest star. The Simpsons make their way to a shitty motel.
Bart, are you drinking whiskey?
I'm troubled.
You know, maybe every 5th joke is pretty damn great. And give the film credit, this is one of the few times Homer actually starts to sound like a real person.
I don't think about things. I just try to make the days not hurt until I get to crawl in next to you again.
That's not even that funny. It's just a human moment. It reminds me of some of the earlier seasons where they threw a lot of jokes, but the heartfelt scenes also felt very genuine.
I need you to do this with me.
Okay, homie. I'm with you.
I also feel like Marge is arguably the most interesting character in the movie because she isn't just a setup for jokes. You legit feel her aggravation, but also her need to find value in the person she loves. There are drops of that here and there, as you'll see a little bit later, but I feel like we needed just a few more moments like this to make the emotional connection, to make the story feel bigger. On that note, though, the jokes are worked in a little better from here on out. They can win a truck at a carnival if Homer can ride a motorcycle inside a cage. I legit remember this joke because it comes back later when he rides it around the dome. It may seem like a subtle thing, but touches like this help you make connections and remember the experience more. It doesn't just feel random. It looks like Homer does win the truck and they make their way to Alaska. They almost get caught, but a quick fake out saves the day.
There they are!
Not gonna lie, I want to know the story of every single one of those doppelgangers.
Welcome to Alaska. We pay every resident $1,000 to allow the oil companies to ravage our state's natural beauty.
Well done. You didn't even have to write a joke. Reality did it for you. We get a pretty weird scene, even for The Simpsons, where Disney-style animals help Marge and Homer get undressed to bang. Apologies, we just let DeviantArt write this scene for some reason. And then we showed them what DeviantArt actually is. Back in Springfield, the people are getting closer to breaking through the dome, so Cargill devises a plan to blow them up.
There's gonna be hearings, investigations.
I'll have to go back to making family comedies. Ugh.
You sure DreamWorks isn't working on that?
Hello, I'm Tom Hanks.
Tousle my hair, Mr. Hank.
An ad starring Tom Hanks indicates that the town is about to be blown up, and I love their cheesy parody of him is honestly becoming what he kind of is now, yet somehow more cartoony. Thus, the family wants to go and save the town.
Screw Springfield!
I can't believe you'd say something so selfish.
They were gonna hang your baby. Is that really that shocking a reaction? Marge asks Homer to trust her, but he laughs in her face and runs away. This results in her taking the kids and recording over their wedding video, saying he's a changed man and there's no love left in their marriage. Now, I'm sure I'm not the only one to say this, but this is easily the best acting to come out of Marge's voice actress, Julie Kavner.
I overlooked these things.
Because?
I just don't know how to finish that sentence anymore.
Whenever this movie's brought up, there's always 3 things that people remember. Spider-Pig, the dome, and this scene. They apparently recorded it several times to tire out Julie's voice, and man does it leave an impact.
And to prove to myself that this is the end, I taped this over our wedding video.
The theater legit goes quiet. You could hear a pin drop. As much as I say this film does need more heart, the few bits it has does leave an impression. And again, it works because you feel where she's coming from. You get frustrated right along with her. She isn't just a setup for punchlines, she feels like an actual human being. It's like James L. Brooks came in and said, you know, I've directed a few movies, we should probably remind people that's what they're watching.
Goodbye, homie.
If this is the best joke in the movie, this is the best scene in the movie. Thank God it's followed by this dumb joke. Wow, only an hour running time, huh? Okay. Oh, movie! Oh my God, that was such a good trick! Yeah, okay, this is what I think they thought the audience reaction was gonna be.
Wow, are they really live?
That's good. Versus what my screening was like. Bullshit. Pretty lame. Homer discovers a medicine woman who tries to steer him in the right direction. And again, it would have been nice if she was built up to a little bit and didn't just come out of nowhere. Like maybe she had a connection to the Vision Grandpa god, or maybe she was what called to Homer to go to Alaska, or maybe her spirit animal's the pig. I don't know, just pretend like you're writing a movie.
Unless you have an epiphany, you will spend the remainder of your days alone.
Homer has a vision that makes him realize he should fix the problems he started and goes after his family, just as they're captured by Cargill.
Lisa, knock off that racket! Lisa!
They gave her a saxophone? You know, a barred window would have alerted him and made a little bit more sense.
Springfield.
They're dropped off back in Springfield just as it's about ready to blow up.
Despite everything, I miss your father.
Mom, I've got to go find Colin.
Who's Colin? Oh, I mean, yes, that incredibly memorable character woven so organically into... I remember Bumblebee Man's lines more than him. The police use a robot to try and defuse the bomb, resulting in another great edgy joke.
Talking about it, but I didn't take him seriously.
But maybe I just like it because I don't know if that joke's allowed on YouTube anymore. And Homer grabs the bomb, bringing Bart along to toss it. It's a pretty fun and impressively large scene, though admittedly I do wish it held on some of these massive shots a little longer that go by pretty quick. But everyone praises Homer as a hero.
Bye, everybody!
My God, they killed off Dr. Nick? No, I'm legit asking. I didn't really watch much of the show after this movie came out.
You want to go clean up the lake?
Well, I was going to say get some ice cream, but okay.
Aw, what a well-developed romance. I can't wait to see more of Colin. Yeah, I didn't even need to watch the show to know that happens. They take the villain out, Homer and Marge ride through another batch of poorly rendered trees, and... I don't know, I guess this joke's as good to end on as any. What a great way to end a TV special. Kind of a lame way to end a movie, though. They couldn't even get Jay Sherman to watch the end credits. As a critic who's offended by everything, I'm offended. And did I say Maggie jokes usually work?
Oh my God, her first word. Sequel?
Of course! How else are we gonna get our Colin fix? The film did do very well financially, and the critical reception wasn't bad either. A sequel actually has been bounced around quite a bit, but for one reason or another, it got delayed. At this point though, I really wouldn't do one unless it was to wrap up the series. Because this film, I can't say is bad, it has plenty of laughs and cinematic moments, but there's just not much of a soul to it. I think if they combined a big story that's emotionally small, like The Dome, with a small story that feels emotionally big, like some of the earlier episodes, that might have worked a little better. Keep it simple, personal, but yes, still large. It is a movie, big things should happen, but it should also feel big as well as look big. And aside from Marge's emotional moment, there really isn't anything like that here. Look, I can't pretend I've watched all the Simpsons episodes, and my guess is you can't either. But I know that love and respect for them still runs deep. While I can't act like I'm as passionate about them as I used to be, I'm always gonna be cheering them on. I do still want what's best for them, and I feel like other people who were shaped by their humor do too. So yeah, I'm not gonna say the movie has played a major part in their history, but with talks of a sequel, it is in a strange way a reminder of what The Simpsons is, was, and ultimately still could be. In a time where maybe, just maybe, more and more people are seeing animation as more grown-up than most grown-up entertainment, you gotta think about those anime films that blurred that line in the past. You got your Fritz the Cat, your Akira's, your Sausage Parties, movies that showed American audiences there can be anime films exclusively for adults. And of course, the 1999 film that challenged the ideas of censorship, scapegoating, and call-out culture while having a show that oftentimes was the center of all three. I'm of course talking about the foul-mouthed wonders themselves, South Park. Unlike other anime films based on shows made over a decade earlier, South Park had a bizarre contract that said they needed to make a movie along with their show. Maybe because the show was so low budget and quick to produce, they figure a movie would be easy, I'm not sure. But rather than waiting for their popularity to kind of die down, the movie was released arguably at the peak of their success. While the show had constant run-ins with parental groups about what can be shown and said on TV, the movie decided to focus on not only the outrage that the show was getting, but the probable outrage their movie was going to get. They had constant arguments with the MPAA about what justified an R-rated film as opposed to an NC-17 film, which many theaters wouldn't show. Like a note they received once that said if there were over 400 swear words, the film would be NC-17. So the creators put in this, no joke, 399. Yep, that one extra swear word would have scarred a 16-year-old for life, I guess. On that note, while this film managed to challenge censorship in the theatrical world, YouTube is much less forgiving if even one F-bomb is dropped. So, we'll have our cute kitty Chaplin saying words with the exact same meaning, but technically aren't swears. So advertisers can rest assured people who don't want to deal with the real world don't have to. Right, Chaplin?
You said it, feces digester!
Already off to a great start. Let's take a look at South Park, bigger, longer, and uncut. Actually, the title itself is a perfect sum up of the ridiculousness of MPAA standards. The original title was South Park All Hell Breaks Loose, but the MPAA wouldn't allow a title with the word hell in it. I think everyone can agree bigger, longer, and uncut is far more dirty, but it doesn't have the word a Disney character used in a G-rated film in the 50s, so I guess it's okay.
There's a bunch of birds in the sky.
The film opens, funny enough, with no swearing at all. It builds up the oncoming onslaught of indecency by opening with a Disney-style song. In fact, the whole film is constructed like a Broadway-style musical at a time when that really wasn't popular. Even Disney was backing off heavy from it. In fact, they lost the Oscar for Best Song to Phil Collins singing one of these pop songs that can vaguely be played on the radio or in the movie. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Was totally meant for just the movie. The fact that it could be played on the radio as well, just pure coincidence. Okay, if the South Park guys could eventually stop with this joke, so can I. Bottom line, it was pretty ballsy to do something many movie audiences saw as lame at the time and breathe new life into it. Tipping their hat to the genre, but still doing it their way.
Off to the movies we shall go.
The boys are excited because they're finally going to see the Terrence and Phillip movie, based on the raunchy cartoon they love to watch. As you quickly guess, the cartoon and everybody's overreactions to it are a satire of their own interactions with the show and what they presumed were going to be the reactions to the movie. Hell didn't quite rise up, but Saddam Hussein did die, so there's that. After walking by a picture of one of the director's sisters, they find they can't get into the theater because they're not old enough. Yeah, it's almost like the cartoon you're watching clearly isn't for kids.
I want 6 tickets to Asses of Fire.
They get a homeless guy to purchase the tickets, and they're introduced to their favorite cartoon characters saying things they've never heard them say on TV.
Fornicating. Roller in the hay. Rooster. Gluteus Maximus. Proprietor of tail.
It probably goes without saying, but the songs are massive toe tappers, and everyone credits Parker and Stone, but the composer, Mark Shaman, who's written many catchy themes in the past, also deserves a ton of credit. It's pretty cool how people naturally underestimated this team's musical abilities, yet they would go on to be nominated and even win almost every musical award there is.
We just went to go see the Terrence and Phillip movie.
The next day, the boys talk about the movie they saw and share their new colorful vocabulary. Stan is thrown off, though, when he sees Wendy, the girl he's in love with and keeps puking on. Yeah, it's also kind of fun revisiting these old South Park tropes they haven't used in a while. But it looks like she's being courted by a boy named Gregory.
Wanna skate with us?
We've been skating all morning and laughing and talking of memories past.
I could be wrong, but I swear this is based on Nigel from Top Secret. I never heard them confirm that, but come on.
Get lots of sleep. Tomorrow, we will all be risking our lives for freedom.
Hillary, how wonderful that you've returned to me now, when I so desperately need you by my side to fight for the cause. Our cause.
Though surprisingly, this isn't the film that has a cow mounting him scene in it. Soon all the kids see the movie and are using the same colorful language.
You can't say
nookie.
In school you
screwing.
Fat
buttocks.
Kyle.
Why the
Whoopee.
Not.
Eric.
Dude, you just said
Sexual Congress.
Again.
Stanley.
Who?
Kenny.
This is a good time to mention this film has the record for the most swear words used in an animated movie. The boys get in trouble for their harsh language, but that's not on Stan's mind as he still wonders how to win Wendy over.
Chef, how do you make a woman like you more than any other guy?
Oh, that's easy. You just gotta find the...
I think I can say this one. I'm not sure with YouTube. Oh, I'll just play this.
Dolores! You guys, do you know where I can find the... Dolores! The what? What, is that like finding Jesus or something?
No, Jesus is easier to find and easier to please. The school panics at the popularity of Terrence and Phillip, and in one of the many examples of censorship working against the censor, the school says anyone wearing a Terrence and Phillip shirt will be sent home, only encouraging the kids to love them more.
Is the film destroying American youth? Here with a special report is a midget in a bikini.
It's gonna sound weird to say, but I really forgot how random early South Park humor was. The school tries to sing to the kids how to say other words despite them meaning the exact same thing. This works for the moment, but once they see the movie again, they're back to their old ways. In fact, they're inspired by the movie to light their farts on fire, resulting in, spoiler, Kenny getting killed.
Load that IV with 70 cc's of sodium pentothal.
George Clooney, an early promoter of the show, has graduated from voicing a dog to voicing a doctor, and even eventually be mocked by the show down the line. Not gonna lie, that kinda feels right somehow. Kenny goes to the afterlife, which, to quote the Three Little Bops, didn't go to heaven was the other place.
Little boy, time for you to play. Remember, they're not gonna charge us staring a bullet in the head.
A moment of gratification for years of me saying, that's James Hetfield singing that, and everybody saying, no it isn't, it'd be in the credits. Well, he is now, lady dogs. Still has better effects than Constantine. The parents decide the movie is to blame for all their kids' troubles, and seeing how the film is from Canada, they, well, you all know the song. And yes, as much as we like to mock the Oscars for being dim-witted and out of touch, especially when it comes to animation, them nominating the song and having Robin Williams sing it does show they can have a brain every once in a while. Not enough to give it to them, but okay, I'm moving on. This, of course, is a satire of outrage culture, claiming media is destroying the sensitive minds of the country, and censorship is the only answer, never realizing their outrage might be doing more harm than good. This is, no surprise, still practiced today, as it ping-pongs in between political extremes. Yeah, remember, boycott is totally different from cancel. That's something only the other side does, not us.
Please welcome Terrence and Phillip.
A bunch of parents show up to cancel Terrence and Phillip. I mean boycott, sorry, just again so different. When Conan O'Brien, voiced randomly by Brent Spiner, and Brooke Shields, voiced also randomly by Minnie Driver, turns them in to the authorities.
I farted once on the set of Blue Lagoon.
I didn't know I needed a Canadian cartoon slapping Brooke Shields, but that might be the funniest scene in the movie.
You loved our movie, Conan.
What have I done?
Truth be told, I think this entire scene exists just to show Conan on his own show.
I sound like that? Well, hello, fellows. Nice to have you here.
The Canadian government gets back at them, though, by bombing the Baldwins. As if they weren't bombed most of the time.
Do you know what sucks about being a Baldwin? Nothing!
Fear not, the same team will be much nicer to the Baldwins in the future.
Global warming and corporate America.
And no doubt the Baldwin name will always be associated with something good. The US declares war on Canada, and Kyle's mom takes over as Secretary of Offense. God, that's good. Announcing that Terrence and Phillip are to be executed. Again, a nice jab that Americans are fine with vulgar violence just as long as non-vulgar language is being used. Meanwhile, back in hell, okay, you gotta love a film when that's a segue. Kenny is being tortured by Satan and his lover, a constantly aroused Saddam Hussein.
Man, this is getting me so hot.
Would you let me do my job, please?
Come on, rub my nipples while I torture this little piggy.
I know this is played for laughs, but if you've seen the paintings at his home, this honestly isn't far off. Everyone blames Kyle's mom for starting this war, and the kids start to band together to protest it. Stan even decides to get political because he thinks it'll win over the girl he loves. Again, tell me you've never seen that happen in real life.
This is all Kyle's mom's fault. Shut up, Cartman.
This results in Cartman singing the always classic
She-Poodle,
She's a big fat
Lassie,
She's the biggest.
canine of the feminine breed.
To all the boys and girls.
He even sings it in different languages like It's a Small World. Will I, for one, give credit that Cartman is exfoliating his skin with a beauty mask while singing this number? However, if this was to be taken any other way, I, for one, would be offended by this cartoon that constantly declares it's trying to offend me. Because just like Tropic Thunder and Always Sunny in Philadelphia, all these characters are smart, kind, level-headed role models that are clearly saying we need to be exactly like. If that wasn't the case and these were stupid, ignorant morons, hell, even satirizing stupid, ignorant morons, dare I say, there could be comedy involved. But that's not it. There's a beauty mask, so there's no problem. As you might have expected, though, Kyle's mom hears the song and forces Cartman to get a V-chip in his brain. This is a parody of the V-chip that was made to block shows like South Park from being seen by children, but despite so many groups complaining something like this needs to exist, very few parents actually purchased it. Proving again it was much more about complaining than actually solving the problem. This scenario, though, takes it to the next step where rather than censor what children watch, it censors what they say and even think. I also love them confusing Cartman not wanting to swear with him not being able to swear.
Success! The child doesn't want to swear!
This isn't fair, your son's a begging.
I should know. People joke they wanted to crucify me because I joked about crucifixion. At least I think they were joking about it. It's also pretty great all these parents talking about how important their children are while totally ignoring their own children.
You started a war, you have to stop it.
To make them safe again.
Hello?
Our children are precious.
Hello?
Wait until the world unites several groups with social media, then we'll all listen to each other. And the same way so many kids are introduced to classical music via Looney Tunes, I think a lot of us were introduced to Brian Boitano through this song.
I'm sure he'd kick an ass or two, that's what Brian Boitano do.
And if you're wondering what Brian Boitano thinks of it...
It's been great being a small part of your journey on South Park.
Well, that makes writing a punchline hard, so...
Fuck you all. Get me a fucking brownie.
Haha, he sucks! Next scene. The boys send a message to all the kids saying if they want to help Terrence and Phillip, they all need to meet up. Meanwhile, Kenny hears that Satan is going to take over the world once Terrence and Phillip are killed, as is told in the prophecy that clearly they're not putting much effort into.
We used to talk all night long until the sun came up.
Well, yeah, because I was still waiting to get you in bed, dummy.
Okay, so here's kind of a confession I have about this movie. It's always around this point that I remember it. I love talking about this film. I look back on it fondly, I remember the commentary, songs, and a fair amount of laughs, but I also have to admit, it can get a little boring. And I don't think it's a coincidence that it's around the half-hour mark where I start to think that, because South Park is a half-hour show. If you're gonna drag this out in an hour-and-a-half movie, though, there's two issues. One is you can't rely on the animation being visually interesting for that long because, well, it's South Park. That's part of the joke. It's cheap animation. For an hour and a half, though, that's a pretty long time to look at this cheap-ass style. But in that case, the comedy really has to be upped, and it's good. It's clever commentary and does make me laugh at times. But there are long stretches where the jokes are a little weak or include scenes that don't even end on a joke. The Brian Boitano song ends on a freeze frame. There's nothing really that funny about that. This scene ends with them naming the group.
The password is La Resistance.
That never got a laugh when I saw it in the theater. And don't get me wrong, it's not like every scene has to have a laugh, but for an hour and a half of visually dull and not particularly complex characters, unless there's continually songs or jokes, there's not going to be that much entertainment in the moment. Granted, they were making this while they were also working on the next season and fighting with the MPAA. It's impressive we got what we got, but the film does drag a bit because of it. I find surprisingly this is quite common with comedies that have memorable jokes or commentary, like Krampus or Borat or Life Aquatic. There's a ton of greatness that stays with you, but when you sit through them again, you forget it's a bit of a snooze fest at times. I will admit, though, I'd much rather have a movie stay with me and have boring moments than a film that's entertaining from beginning to end, but completely forget about it. So don't get me wrong, I'm not saying this makes it a bad film by any means, but it is an interesting thing to point out. With that said, when they are doing a song or a joke or both, they really are great. I love they try to make Satan the Lord of Darkness almost like a longing Disney princess. He wants to take over the world simply so he can see it. It's honestly kind of a funny idea. And yeah, okay, it's not like this is that deep a song, but for audiences just looking for fart jokes, I guess some of these lyrics can be a little challenging.
Without evil there can be no good, so it must be good to be evil sometime.
Can you get a little bit more distance from Sodom when you say that? The kids meet up, and despite Stan trying to be the leader, Gregory takes charge. And I think it only figures my favorite song in the movie is a combination of all the songs. Seriously, this song is just so damn good. The counterpoint melodies, the orchestrations, it's like Les Mis if the singing was intentionally bad. The only downside is, it reminds me this movie needs more butters. He's my favorite character, we need more of him. I'll accept the artificial version. Saddam whips out his weapon of mass destruction, which I'll admit, watching at home isn't that funny, but in a theater, Christ does this get a big laugh, so I think it balances out.
We need to speak with the mole.
They get help from a kid called the Mole. Okay, come on, Butters could have been the Mole. Maybe he wasn't that popular yet, I don't know. And Saddam sings a song to Satan about how he'll be better to him.
But I can change, I can change. I can learn to keep my promises, I swear it.
While the song is fine on its own, it is the only musical number where I start to feel people squirming in their seats. It's the Chirp Charlie of the flick. You'll get through it fine, but you always forget it's in the movie.
Welcome to the USO Show!
There's a big USO show before the execution of Terrence and Phillip, which includes Big Gay Al and Winona Ryder.
Here's my famous ping pong ball trick! There, I didn't miss one!
She really stole the show. Yes, 2023, the only other thing we got on her is this meme. What am I supposed to do with this? Big Gay Al also sings his song, and it looks like part of his name was exaggerated. He's actually bi. And the Canadians attack, just as Stan finds the...
Dolores! Tell me how to get Wendy to like me. Dude, you just have to have confidence in yourself. Chicks love confidence.
I'm confident no matter what I do, this is still gonna get me age restricted. On that note, Operation Human Shield puts all the black soldiers in the front to be shot first, but they move out of the way, letting the others get nuked.
You some people gonna die?
Wait. Are you insinuating that Jar Jar is the same actor as that guy? Oh my god, I'm amazed! Stan leads the kids, but Terrence and Phillip get killed off, allowing hell to rise. Cartman's V-chip starts malfunctioning, though, and starts shocking others whenever he swears. So, of course, vulgar language saves the day. I also love how the big final swear he uses is just Barbra Streisand's name.
Intimate relations. Stool. Member. Posterior. Globes. Pocket rocket. Hound dog of the fair sex. Muff. This kind. Front bottom. Downstairs. Rectum. Bitch.
I have had enough of you!
Satan kills Saddam, and Satan gives Kenny any wish he wants because he showed him he was in a terrible relationship. Kenny wishes everything to go back to the way it was, which would mean he would have to go back to hell also. This results in Kenny finally revealing himself, and I'm kind of torn on this. On the one hand, this was a big selling point in the trailers. See what Kenny looks like.
Kenny McCormick.
And it is a little funny that, well, he looks like any other kid.
Goodbye, you guys.
It's also cool they got animation legend Mike Judge to voice him.
I'm not crying. It's just... I gotta get out of here.
But I guess I feel like they did this idea better other times with Kenny revealing what he looks like and even sounds like. I don't know. It's not bad. I just think it's done better later. I'm not sure. I could be alone on that. What do you think? Everything's put back to normal. Kenny even goes to heaven because he ironically accepted he would go to hell. And the final song is sung. Even Free Willy does a big jump at the end. And that was South Park Bigger, Longer, and Uncut. Both dated, but in many ways still relevant. I think issues of censorship and passing blame onto others for things we don't like is always going to be a thing. Just like sophisticated humor and immature humor are always going to be a thing. So it makes sense a movie like this would combine all that. It's a good representation of what South Park was at the time, and both audiences and critics seem to enjoy the film okay. There's been talks of a sequel for a while. Actually, their Imagination Land miniseries was almost going to be a movie, but the team never quite felt they had the proper follow-up. Much like the Simpsons movie, I don't think it makes sense to do a sequel unless it's years after the finale, or maybe even serves as the finale. It just wouldn't feel as large or important if they did it while the show was still going. The same people worked on several projects, though, that had both a large and hilarious scale. So we're not short any great quality from this group. But for a team that's constantly been in battle over censorship for years and years, I think it's clear their movie talking about censorship has warranted authority worth respecting. Hey, remember in the 90s when we used to watch underqualified dumbasses review media from a couch? This is the movie. Released in 1996, near the height of their popularity, Beavis and Butthead Duo America holds two fond memories for me. One is, of course, laughing at two of my favorite animated slackers with an audience on the big screen. And two, giggling when an obvious Oscar bait movie at the time called Ghost of Mississippi didn't get as good reviews. Not that the story didn't deserve to be told, but everyone agreed it was told in a schmaltzy way, despite having some of Hollywood's finest at the time.
I would have much preferred to see a documentary on this subject rather than this Hollywood version that is well-meaning but so safe.
This is not one of Whoopi Goldberg's good performance. She spends most of it on the telephone saying, yeah, well, I don't believe you're really going to do it.
There's no writing.
You don't really understand who Medgar Evers was, what he did.
There's just something so funny about a Rob Reiner drama with James Woods, Alec Baldwin, and Whoopi Goldberg in southern accents getting bested by Beavis and Butthead.
I was taken with their adolescent awkwardness, bravado, and vulnerability.
I think there was satire of this kind of couch potato, disaffected attitude.
Most people thought this was going to be a film written by simpletons for simpletons about simpletons. But in fact, it was a film written by smart people for most people, but yes, still about simpletons. But the truth is, Beavis and Butthead were so celebrated at the time by their young audience that it could have been just a phoned-in movie. And it wasn't. They worked hard. At making the writing, timing, acting, and animation all get solid laughs. Like many have said, you have to be surprisingly smart in order to make dumb funny. But what is it about the film that won so many over? Well, let's dive on in and check it out. This is Beavis and Butt.
My first name's Butt.
Head to America. The film opens with a dream that, okay, let's face it, is here for trailer fodder, but it's good trailer fodder.
Hey, baby. I'm like pretty tall.
My head alone is 1/3 my body. Head. Beavis wakes up Butthead to show something has happened to the TV. One of the interesting things is in the Siskel and Ebert review. Siskel swore the director of the movie was trying to help Butthead figure out what happened.
This clever scene where the film's director actually tries to help the boys figure out that their missing television set has been stolen. This is clever.
I think more likely this is just his point of view putting together what happened, but again, that's what's so great about getting a different take. You can look at it from an equally funny way you never thought of before.
This sucks more than anything that has ever sucked before.
The opening credits roll, satirizing old 70s movies and shows like Starsky and Hutch. Yeah, 70s nostalgia was like what I guess 90s nostalgia is like now. Why else do you think I'm talking about this flick?
Hey, wait a minute. I don't want to go to school.
They go searching for their TV and decide to steal the one from their school, but their teacher stops them.
We don't need TV to entertain us. He said anus.
I swear there's more to this movie than just Sean Connery Jeopardy jokes. Though funny enough, I don't think much of the audience would mind if it was all that. They accidentally break the TV, resulting in the principal expelling them.
Beavis and Butthead, you're both expelled!
And that's code for, yeah, school jokes are boring in a big animated film. King of the Hill prototypes, however?
You know, the most important thing you can have on a camper is a good butane regulator.
Butane, huh? Why do I feel like Tom Anderson and Daria in this are in the same neighborhood as Elaine's Bizarro friends?
This crap is warm.
They end up breaking Tom's TV too, and they stumble across a hotel where, I'm very thankful the censors said they get an R if they show the principal's bare ass. Not that I think showing a bare ass constitutes that, but showing his bare ass I think does. They go to another hotel room where a criminal named Muddy, voiced by Bruce Willis, confuses Beavis and Butthead for assassins. Yeah, this old shtick.
I'll pay you 10 grand plus expenses, all payable after you do her.
Yeah.
Are they gonna get the secret government device that'll destroy the world too?
The X5 unit is a new top-secret biological weapon.
Okay, this isn't the most original story, especially at that time, but what makes it unique are the leads. These plot points are usually used in liar reveal stories where we're supposed to love the clumsy liar and relate to them when they sulk in the third act after the truth comes out. That's not how Beavis and Butthead works, though. They're so dim and self-centered, it doesn't care if you like them. In fact, it's funnier if you don't.
Any questions so far?
Does she have big hooters?
Yeah, you guys are funny. Let's have a drink on it, eh?
The comedy comes from what a satirical take on Gen X it is, and how the rest of the world can't comprehend anyone being so stupid, so they confuse them for being masterminds. There's no moral, just laughs. And with so many comedies hammering in an obvious lesson nowadays, sometimes just a good laugh is really welcomed.
Don't let me down.
They confuse assassinating Muddy's wife for having sex with her, and they happily agree to take a flight to Vegas to see her. Yeah, Vegas was also a pretty big trope at the time.
Are you two heading for Las Vegas?
We're gonna score.
The lady they sit next to on the flight is played by comedy legend Cloris Leachman. I love how well these two get along just because they misunderstand one word.
I'm mostly gonna be doing the slots.
Do they have a lot of sluts in Las Vegas?
You won't know where to begin.
Whoa.
In a strange, perverted way, it's almost wholesome.
It's so nice to meet young men who are so well-mannered.
Ironically, they reveal later she was talking about sluts. The old lady mishears that Beavis is tired, so she gives him a ton of her caffeine pills, resulting in hijinks that wouldn't fly in a plane then, and let's just say really wouldn't fly in a plane now.
I am Cornholio. I need picata for my bunghole. Are you threatening me? My bunghole will not wait.
One roll of duct tape later.
I am Cornholio.
One bloodstained window later. They eventually land, confusing the limo driver for a blind man, and I guess that's not R-worthy because butt's in his name? I don't know. And they realize the ride is for them. Illiteracy is never funny. I would say cancel them, but I think they already tried to cancel themselves.
Step aside, please. We have white privilege.
We automatically assume we can take what we want, and we don't have to worry about the police.
What's that Hannibal Lecter line? The world's more interesting with them in it. Back at the motel, Muddy discovers the true assassins, who are also the guys who stole the TV. It's a clever tie-in. And he's so pissed, he decides to do the job himself.
Just leave it. Worthless piece of crap.
It's good seeing what Bobby Hill eventually grew up into. Tell me you couldn't see that. They make it to Las Vegas with all the lights, glamour, and riches, but the only place they want to go is in front of a statue's boobuses. Again, his ass would have gotten an R, but this... We'll just assume this is like YouTube's content control. Nobody's actually watching. They play the hit song Love Roller Coaster, which was written specifically for this movie. Though I have to admit, it was weird seeing the music video, seeing the Red Hot Chili Peppers sing, only to find the singers in the movie look not like them. I wouldn't think it'd be sung by Ben Stein as the wedding singer, but I wouldn't think they'd have a random CG shot in here either. Yeah, I think that was like a weird requirement in hand-drawn films at the time, like every flick had to have at least one CG shot. Ironic, because I swear it's almost working in reverse nowadays. They get to their rooms and stumble across their target named Dallas, played by Demi Moore.
I'll double it. I'll pay you 20 if you go back there and do him.
You want us to do a guy?
Maybe if we close our eyes and pretend he's a chick.
Please don't spoil the sequel. She's one of the few people that puts together these two are dumbasses, but once she sees the police are on their way, she puts the government MacGuffin in Beavis' pants and tells them to meet her in Washington, D.C. via bus tour.
I want you to take the bus to Washington, D.C. You're gonna make a whole lot of money, and I'm gonna give you everything.
Including the strategy guide to your own game. Seriously, there's no way to beat this game without it! After Beavis and Butthead get to the bus, the FBI, led by Agent Fleming, played by Robert Stack, who felt so duped into doing this movie he tried to get his legal team to remove him from it, but he warmed up to it over the years, confront Dallas, discovering she has nothing.
So, are you gonna tell us where it is, or am I gonna have Agent Hurley over there give you another cavity search?
This will be one of the funniest running jokes in the movie. Everything about this character is straight-laced, no humor, all serious, except for this one phenomenally bizarre character trait.
Did you give him a full cavity search? I want full cavity searches. Full cavity searches all around. Give this scumbag a cavity search. Bork?
Cavity search.
Deep and hard.
Can't imagine why Stack would want his name removed from this. The boys stop by the Hoover Dam where they push all the buttons, messing with the city's power, releases some of the water, and worst of all, makes a dam pun.
Is this a goddamn? Goddamn,
Piss off, I think it's funny. They get back on the bus just as the FBI wrongly deduces they cut the power on purpose to cover their tracks.
Okay, people. So right now, these are the most dangerous men in America.
Mr. Stack, could you say that a bit more trailery?
I say everything trailery.
Oh, that's true, he does. They continue across America, ignoring all the amazing sights and instead paying attention to the stupidest things they can find. They accidentally get on the wrong bus, though, teaming up with a group of nuns.
We're on a bus with chicks.
Funny enough, the most hilarious scene doesn't come with them, though.
He said...
No, I didn't. Where they confuse confessionals for porta potties.
I gotta take a dump.
Surprisingly, maybe even thankfully, it doesn't go that route. but it does result in the two of them being mistaken for priests, leading to, in my opinion, the funniest lines.
How many Hail Marys?
1,000.
I slept with a woman, and,
Could you, like, see her boobs?
You know, with some churches nowadays, I could see some priests saying that. In the 2000s, that's what people thought was gonna happen if you didn't see Passion of the Christ. Don't feel too bad about the nuns not getting the biggest laugh in the movie, though. They have a hilarious scene where they just abandon the two of them at a pit stop. They don't even have to say anything. They're just all on the same page.
Hey, where'd those chicks go?
I didn't even get to see if there's a black one, like in Sister Act. Oh wait, there was. And apparently it was for that reason. The boys stupidly decide to walk to Washington, getting lost in the desert but randomly stumbling across their fathers, who of course they don't recognize. One of them is voiced by Earl Hufford, or as translated in Jokey's, David Letterman.
Here's a story. I scored with these two chicks. True story.
Well, I'm gonna call DCFS after seeing how he treats his son.
What are you laughing at?
Meanwhile, the agents go to every place Beavis and Butthead could be, including their school.
Come with me, lesbian seagull.
Again, I don't think they had all the characters figured out yet because, by God, Daria would not be in that class listening to that song. Jane? Maybe. After, let's face it, a pretty delayed fart joke when you think about what movie you're watching. The boys lose track of their fathers and continue to roam the desert, eat some cactus, and start to hallucinate.
It's like a music video.
This is another one of those tropes at the time when everything connected to the plot would just disappear in lieu of a pretty pointless music video. But seeing how they never looked over music videos in this, I think it deserves a pass. The segment is pretty awesome, drawing inspiration from a lot of Rob Zombie's artwork. It's one of the few moments in the movie where you can say the animation is not only good, it's goddamn great. Yes, it's a segment you could cut and miss nothing, but it does serve maybe the most as a time capsule. I just look at this, think late 90s, and appreciate the hell out of it. Muddy wakes them up and takes them hostage, tossing them in the trunk of his car. They manage to get out and, of course, cause a lot of damage while doing so. I think I figured out why a crossover between these three shows never happened. She wouldn't stick around and he wouldn't survive. They just happened to bump into the same bus tour they took before, and they finally make their way to DC. Muddy meets Dallas there too, but she convinces him she still has feelings, just as they're discovered.
Me and my wife are back together, and you will never...
He stole the unit.
Why, you damn little...
I like these two, and they're going through a lot. Beavis and Butthead are about to leave, but Beavis is pissed he didn't score and attempts to make a big speech about it.
I'm sick and tired of this. We're never gonna score. It's just not gonna happen. We're never gonna score. We're never gonna score.
Ah, the big speech every YouTuber thinks they're not gonna make. He tries to calm down by having more of the old lady's medicine, once again causing him to go full Cornholio.
Yes, Mr. President.
I am Cornholio. My bunghole, it goes...
Admit it, you know at least 2 presidents have made a call like that. Butthead stumbles across Chelsea Clinton and doesn't exactly make the best impression.
I noticed you have braces. I have braces too.
Admit it, you know at least 2 presidents have been thrown out of the White House like that. Butthead is arrested and given, you guessed it,
cavity search. I'm talking roto-rooter. Don't stop till you reach the back of his teeth.
Again, don't ruin the 3rd act. When Beavis gets inspired to jerk off in Tom's camper, Tom throws his pants out, not aware the unit is inside.
He said...
Yes, I did, and it flies out.
He said...
Yes, goddammit, bouncing off of Butthead's hair.
Take him away.
Hey, get your damn hands off me!
That look on his wife might be the saddest thing ever drawn. Tom's arrested, and naturally Beavis and Butthead are praised as heroes, allowing them to meet the president.
You exemplify a new crop of young Americans who will grow into the leaders of this great country.
Again, not wrong. They get back home and are reunited with their true love, TV.
You think we're ever gonna score?
I probably will, but not you. You're too much of a butt monkey.
Powerful words. Randomly vulgar, but vulgarly random. And that was Beavis and Butthead Do America. Okay, am I gonna pretend this is a great work of modern art? No, but it is funny. It's a type of comedy many adults saw as lowbrow and beneath them, but I think it's kind of like the Cable Guy. The more people realize folks like this kind of exist, the more it made sense why the humor was so lowbrow and beneath them. It's cool seeing a show that so many look down on not only get a movie, but a movie that was both a box office and critical success. It isn't just something that only worked in the 90s. Beavis and Butthead came back, and a lot of people were shocked just how well the same type of humor worked today. The movie is similar. It surprisingly isn't that dated. It's straightforward, with very little having to be explained, and it's still funny as hell. In a time where so many animated films seem to always need to be about something important, here's an animated comedy that isn't doing anything important, which in a funny way can also be important. Sometimes all you need is a good laugh, and these two dumbasses are always there to give their chuckles. Media and advertising go hand in hand like awkwardness in current Super Bowl commercials. Some are able to work with it and turn in some amazing films like the Lego Movie or Wreck-It Ralph. And some of these really fell flat like The Wizard or Mac and Me. But then you have those weird ones in between, the ones that are so obviously an ad, but they do it in such a creatively pandering way, not even hiding the fact that it's an ad, that you can't help but have fun with them. Wizard and Mac and Me are funny now, but back then they didn't even entertain their target audience when they came out. Movies and shows like Transformers, G.I. Joe, Power Rangers were all designed clearly just to sell toys, but gave their demographic exactly what they wanted. The same can be said about the original Space Jam. I made it no secret I couldn't get into this film, but I think I was too old to have it resonate with me. I just wasn't the right demographic. Since then, the film has been regarded as not good, but a perfect time capsule of 1996 trying to sell you 1996. So why should it be a shock that the second one is the most 2021 time capsule trying to sell you 2021? Space Jam: A New Legacy got ripped apart by critics, but the general public seemed to enjoy it fine. And surprisingly, I can see why. The same way I praise Ninja Turtles or He-Man for being obvious but awkwardly charming commercials of the time, the same goes for the follow-up to one of the most famous cinematic advertisements in history. The difference is, they double down on it, making the jokes either get legitimate laughs for how little they're hiding their advertising, or unintentional laughs for how hilariously cringy they are. The difference between these cringy laughs and Mac and Me's cringy laughs? I don't think this movie cares why you're laughing, just as long as you're laughing. It's like watching a desperate clown outside a car wash suddenly be given a multi-million-dollar budget to do the exact same thing. You know it's an ad, but he's still going all out and trying anything to entertain you. Even when it doesn't work, you still strangely admire him. In fact, sometimes you admire him more when it doesn't work because he's giving it his all with these limitations, having no idea if it'll succeed. So yeah, I'm weirdly defending this awkward sellout for being the most entertaining awkward sellout it could be. And given its starting point, I don't think the makers of this have a problem with that. So, as long as we can acknowledge an entertaining ad is still clearly an ad.
And now, Chase from Paw Patrol versus One Punch Man. Congratulations, you win the country of Coca-Cola.
I could use a Pepsi. Let's take a look at Space Jam: A New Legacy.
All right, my shift's not over till 9, so tell Coach C I'm gonna be a few minutes late picking you up.
Sorry, I accidentally put in he got game. No, this is weirdly how the film opens, looking more like a gritty independent film which honestly matches the wheel of random tones that spun throughout the entire flick. This is young LeBron James back in 1998, who can't keep his mind in the game and is instead drawn to the Looney Tunes on his Game Boy in 98? I think it was almost 10 years old by that point. What other handheld system was out back then? Okay, it's not that far-fetched.
You could be a once-in-a-generation talent. Focus on the game of basketball and not these distractions.
Just stay focused, never leave your team, and everybody will love you fine. So LeBron throws out his Game Boy and almost instantly becomes a global superstar. Nintendo would like to talk with how you used him in your commercial movie.
LeBron James.
While his star rises, his son Dom, played by Cedric Joe, is talking with his brother about how he's more into making video games than playing basketball.
Like how you're almost ready to tell Dad about the E3 game camp next weekend? I just think you should rip the Band-Aid off and ask him.
You just saying that because he says yes to everything you ask.
Okay, good practice. Want to act for real this time? If you think I'm too hard on these kids, don't worry. They'll look like a pair of Oliviers when LeBron starts talking.
Where's your fundamentals? Darius, chill out. You know I got full court vision. Are we quitting on each other now? Can't be great without putting in work.
You want to put in the work? How about one acting class, LeBron? This is strange because he actually did make an appearance in another movie called Trainwreck, and he was actually pretty funny. Good timing, pacing, delivery. He wasn't bad.
So you owe $32.43. Just pay your part. It's better for our friendship.
Fuck you. Fuck you.
I think I left my wallet.
Fuck you.
It's right in the car.
I don't know. Maybe that director knew how to make certain people humorous because, man, this one knows how to make every person sound like a school play put on by the Department of Motor Vehicles.
What was that? Everything in between these four lines is work. Come on, Dom. You gotta concentrate.
Stop it! Your angry whisper is raised to a dull roar! Not to say this awkward acting can't be hilarious in its own right.
Dinner time. What are we having for dinner? Spaghetti and meatballs?
Ow! Oh, that's my favorite.
I wasn't even advertising anything, but it was said so awkward it felt like it was.
Oh, that's my favorite.
Thank goodness for Chef Boyardee.
If you haven't figured it out yet, LeBron is the overbearing dad who means well but doesn't understand his son. This cliche has been done to death, but I will give credit, it is off-brand for a superstar like this. It is, in a strange way, kind of a risk for a guy who still wants to sell a lot of merchandise.
If I don't stay on him, all the distractions...
He doesn't need a coach. He needs his dad.
I remember they deleted a scene in the first one where Michael Jordan horsewhipped his kids, but they figured an R. Kelly song would make the film uncomfortable enough. Meanwhile, in the lame tricks, Don Cheadle plays an AI named Algae Rhythm. Yeah, remember, this is the same series that came up with the Mean Team, who's looking for a popular symbol to promote the Warner Brothers serververse.
He's a family man, an entrepreneur, a social media superstar with millions of fans.
He's adored by all people, most people, enough people. So, Cheadle is to this movie what Dennis Hopper was to the Super Mario Brothers movie. While the other actors look uncomfortably lost, he looks too comfortable acting however the flying fuck he wants.
Yes! Thank you. Finally, huh? Put some spec on my name, right? Oh, man.
Every line he's like, I don't care if this works or not. I'm still convinced I'm Captain Planet from 10 years ago.
Priceless! Hello. So, no. Get ready. This make you feel all insignificant, don't it? They're alive! Alive!
I'm sorry, I've voiced Donald Duck now.
I must sabotage you for Disney.
LeBron checks in on Dom's new game he's been developing and his fucking Star Trek technology that scans any 3D image into his computer via phone. Oh, he also has a tambourine. I don't fucking know.
Ooh! Posterized.
Posterized? Is this not real basketball?
Is this one of those games of video the village elders say do not speak of?
When LeBron tries doing his signature move, though, a glitch occurs, deleting the character from the game. Yeah, sounds right. I remember when they fixed an eyelash on Sora and it completely erased him from Smash Brothers. I game, fellow kids!
My entire character is gone.
He tries making it up to Dom by bringing him to Warner Brothers to talk about a new marketing idea.
Please don't, Dad.
Did you just say, please, Dad?
No, I said please.
Dad.
When you make Kareem Abdul-Jabbar look like Daniel fucking Day-Lewis. He's invited to see HBO Max, the serververse, and is asked to be their spokesperson. He does a great impression of his reaction when this movie was pitched to him.
This idea is just straight up bad. I'm a ball player. You know, and athletes acting, that never goes well.
This is like a meta version of Jeff Goldblum saying it's a bad idea to open a dinosaur park after they opened the dinosaur park.
That's exactly what I was thinking. You're saying what I'm thinking. You're canceled, algorithm.
What a terrible idea.
With all due respect, Silverman, you shouldn't be talking about your expertise on internet culture. Somehow, this spirals into a conversation about his son going to game design camp when LeBron wants him to go to basketball camp.
I'm not going to basketball camp, Dad.
Dom, you don't have to be scared. You got amazing potential on the court.
Yeah, amazing potential for water aerobics.
Dom.
Stop, don't come back.
LeBron follows him to the elevator while Algae plans to lure them to the serververse.
You know I can't let you back out of camp like that. You made a commitment.
You make me hate basketball.
Well, if it makes you feel better, kid, you're not alone.
You never let me just do me.
This is about that time I caught you jerking it to Flo from those Progressive commercials.
Dom!
Algae pulls them into the serververse, and is it just me or is LeBron getting better in this?
We're in the computer.
You know I'm claustrophobic.
Dad.
Hey, Siri, can you let us out of here, please?
Siri?
Who goes there?
Alright, you can tell me. You got this footage when he was shooting a late night sketch, right? He is literally smiling at the camera! Algae, naturally, challenges LeBron to a basketball game where the winner gets his son, after showing he can't even give a scream convincingly. It's one word. It's not even a word, it's a vowel. You can't even get a vowel right. He's dropped with a quote-unquote reject to search for a team. This is, of course, Toon World, where Bugs Bunny lives.
I'm shorter than Kevin Hart.
I know who that is, and he is short. Good commentary, movie.
What the? I'm a cartoon?
Cartoons are animated. You're more like a cardboard cutout.
What's up, Doc?
Bugs Bunny?
No, I forsook cartoons for basketball. Thou shalt not suck a dash.
Aren't you LeBron James?
Big Chungus reference, even though they have no idea why they're referencing it in 3, 2, 1.
I'm Hutton Wabbit.
We don't know why the internet's applauding that, but we'll take it! Well, yes, it does take a while for the Looney Tunes to show up compared to the first one. The setup is pretty funny. Algae convinced the Looney Tunes that the other worlds in the serververse are better, and they completely abandon Bugs, which is something I 100% believe they would do. Bugs spends his days getting drunk on carrot juice, pretending they're still around, talking to dummy versions of them. I'd be lying if I said plastered Bugs was something I ever thought I'd see, but I'm glad I witnessed it.
And I wish them all the best in their new endeavors.
Family's everything.
Yep, family.
Did I ever tell you the time I pants Mickey Mouse on Who Framed Roger Rabbit? 1 testicle. Nobody knows that! LeBron says he needs to form a team, and Bugs says he can help. So he tricks Marvin the Martian by stealing his ship. These entrances are cute, but the last door on a rocket ship rocket shipping away? That's goddamn hilarious.
Well, we'll just get back in our ship and out of your way.
Sorry, I don't read sign language. That's more the Coyotes thing.
After in-joke 1,000,012 for animation nerds, they stretch out across the serververse to find their team. These scenes are hit and miss, but the hits are pretty clever. Seeing Daffy as Super Duck causing the crimes he's trying to save people from, that's great. Sam in Casablanca being Yosemite Sam, also pretty good. Even dated references like Austin Powers strangely work, not because of Elmer as Mini-Me, but the topper with Shave Sylvester as Mr. Bigglesworth. Also, I'm not gonna say that Warner Brothers stole my idea that Fury Road was a long Roadrunner cartoon, but I will say lawyer up because my attorney is fucking ruthless.
My legal team is Twitter, and they know how to hashtag!
But like I said, there are some misses. Like family-friendly Rick and Morty.
We're done running tests on your Badger thing. It turns out his condition is irreversible. I'll never erase what I saw from my brain. He's your problem now, dum-dum!
A part of me is amused that they're in a kid's film at all, but man, they needed some R-rated writing. It's funny because later in the film, they do a joke where Algae swears at his players and they bleep it out.
That doesn't matter at all. What matters is that I win this game.
I think instead using that joke here might have worked.
I'll never erase from my brain. He's your problem now, dum-dum!
This Matrix parody might have been cute if every movie didn't do it 20 years earlier.
You ain't got nothing on me, bro.
There's a scene where Foghorn Leghorn is Daenerys.
Winter, I say, winter is coming.
What the fuck? I don't even have the words. And of course, we have the return of Lola Bunny. Okay, so I made a big stink in the last one about how Lola had no personality outside of bunny boobies. And yes, it is still admittedly weird that this cast that's been naked for years and years suddenly has one that's anatomically correct. But the fact is, there's plenty of characters who are designed sexy but can still be funny. The big problem with Lola was she wasn't funny. She wasn't even loony. Her only shtick was she didn't like to be objectified while she constantly objectified herself. But again, if you know kids' movies around 96, the personality of the token girl was to be the token girl. Well, since that's what the most 1996 movie gave us, what does the most 2021 movie give us? A Cards Against Humanity answer. Yep, she's just strong, and that's it.
I spent years training for this. Do not mess it up for me.
I guess that's a percent better, but come on, they're having fun with Lola's character in other versions. She's voiced by Zendaya, and she's been funny and stuff. Give her a damn personality. Again, though, it does match the criteria of being the most 2021 product. I mean, I can't act like I don't see the same bland character recently. So I guess I can't be that mad. This moment of her training to be an Amazon is creatively done, and even though I feel like it's borrowing a lot from Spider-Verse, it does so in an impressive way. It's a pretty cool sequence.
You are now an Amazon. Now go with your friends.
Deliver your Amazon packages. Here's a bottle for you to piss in. When you're promoted, you get a funnel. By the way, does Warner Brothers own Hook? Because this is Hook.
think it's really a shame that your dad doesn't support you.
You won't let me be me.
I'd let you be you.
Dom, did he ever go to your baseball game?
I don't play baseball.
Nobody cares, Dom! We're the most boring part of the movie! No, really, the movie does grind to a halt whenever these two are together. The only saving grace is other basketball players proving they can out-awful LeBron.
I'm next, because if Clay's in it, then I'm in it.
Hey, if I'm gonna be in this game, I need a superpower or something.
I need one of those special modes.
Hello?
Hi, Michael Jordan, it's the Nostalgia Critic.
How did you get this number?
Remember why I made fun of your acting in Space Jam?
I have no idea who this is.
Well, I just wanted to say, I'm sorry. I had no idea how worse it could have been.
Do you know how powerful I am?
I'll talk to you later, buddy, okay?
I can mail you to yourself.
He took it well. LeBron shows the gang how to play basketball, like a basketball movie with them didn't happen, and they make references that even characters invented in the 30s would find dated.
That's some fancy footwork, Doc. Let me try.
Even if that joke was in the first one, people would be like, whose white grandpa wrote that? Algie arrives for the game, and on top of making LeBron 3D again, he makes the tunes 3D as well. I guess a lot of people were thrown off by these designs, but honestly, I wasn't bothered by them. I do prefer them hand-drawn, but I get they wanted to upgrade things, and again, 2021 time capsule, everything is CG. It's also a little neat to see the other Warner Brothers cartoons given the same treatment, as a ton of their characters fill the seats. And they said the Warner Brothers store would never come back. Algie brings people from the real world in the stands as well, including LeBron's family. Yeah, kind of funny in a movie about ignoring a kid, two other kids get completely ignored. And we're introduced to the other team, the Goon Squad.
Queen of the web.
A part of me thought maybe it'd be cooler if other Warner Brothers villains made up the bad team, like the Joker, Mojo Jojo, Darkseid. But again, I think they wanted to stay on brand with an original bad guy team, and combining real players with monster elements is kind of creative. I like the way these things look. While we're on the subject, the background characters totally steal the show. Mr. Freeze in particular, I'm totally convinced would act the exact same if Arnold was there. Also, is Batman doing the blowjob thing?
Monster dunk, and she dunks again, and again, and again.
Eat that, eat that, eat that.
Apparently the Toon Squad is unaware that the opposing team is deadly allergic to French skunks. There certainly are a lot of serial killers and rapists in this family film tonight.
This is not going well.
Yeah, that's what most of the critics thought. The gang gets ripped apart, but Sylvester says he found a secret weapon.
But I found Michael Jordan!
You found him?
I can feel his power already!
Now granted, this joke takes way too long to get to the punchline that you probably figured out what it's gonna be, but it is still pretty damn clever.
Jordan!
That's Michael B. Jordan.
How could you think he was his anus? I thought he aged gracefully.
Not all Jordans walk awake, you walking racist! I love Daffy writing Trade Sylvester when honestly, this would have gotten just as big a laugh.
Bugs, time to do what you guys do best.
As you'd expect, LeBron learns not to be such a sourpuss and that the only way to win is to let the Looney Tunes be loony. And what's LeBron's definition of being loony? Literally just smiling. Still technically more loony than anything Lola's done. Again, while not every joke works, some of these make me laugh hard. I'm now realizing Gossamer was put in this movie just for this one joke, but damn it, it's a good joke.
Take it to the other end. These silly tunes don't have what it takes to win.
We rapping now? We rapping?
Oh yeah, this scene. This moment is like Mufasa's death in Lion King. You hate to see it coming, but you know you have to go through it.
What up? It's Porky Pig. They call me P-double-L-G.
Never forget we did this. May it be written in all the history books next to all our biggest failures that we let this happen.
Show 'em who you really are, notorious P.I.G.
There's nothing sacred
The sad thing is, this could actually be a decent idea. A rap with a character who stutters could be pretty humorous. In fact, at first, it looks like they might go that route. But quickly you realize whoever wrote this was not a fan of Straight Outta Compton because he thought Cool as Ice was more street.
This pig is lit. I'm super legit. Every time I'm out in public, people asking me for pics.
Oh my god, we're actually losing points! We're losing points! How is that possible?
Well, the internet will kill me if I don't make this reference.
Let's green, egg, and ham it.
I'm actually surprised how many levels that works on. How bad is this scene? No joke, it kinda kills the movie. I'm not even kidding, when I was watching this again, I only remembered one thing that happened after this. We'll get to that in a bit, but there's about 20 minutes left, not including the credits, and almost none of it is funny or entertaining. They do another Matrix joke with Granny.
She is the one.
When was this written? LeBron acts out a dramatic moment with his son, which is about as emotional as you would think.
Dom, your game is amazing, son. But I guess I would have known that if I'd have listened more. I want you to be yourself. Do you understand how much I love you?
Seriously, was Tina Belcher your acting coach?
Things that I went through to get where I am now had to be a certain way.
Tammy, spill that. Jimmy Jr., mop that up with your pants.
I don't even know if I'm saying this right.
I'm a smart, strong, sensual woman.
Oh, God.
And Al G says he's gonna turn himself into a monster. Well, cool, with designs like these, he ought to look pretty fun. Oh, he's just a shitty CGI version of himself. Not since switching out a giant snake with a giant parrot have I been so intimidated. I guess we do get this scene out of it.
King Kong ain't got nothing on me.
If he added a snap, that would have been the funniest scene in the movie. There is one thing that brings it back to that sweet, epically ridiculous schmaltz, and that's Bugs Bunny sacrificing his life for the team. Yep, he performs the glitch that deletes a character and he slowly dies. Oh, and you better believe they play it totally straight.
That's the least loony thing you've ever done.
You got that right. But taking care of the people you love is fundamental.
The needs of the loony outweigh the needs of the doc.
How'd I do, Coach?
Thank you.
Yeah, I believed his death in What's Opera Doc more, and that's when he literally turned to the camera saying it was all an act.
We did it. We're all back together again.
Hey, where's Peppy?
And yes, your first guess as to what his last words are is totally correct.
That's all, folks.
Yeah, sorry, Porky. Guess those can't be your last words anymore. I kinda stole the thunder from you. But hey, maybe you can pick something from that shitty rap.
He turns into goddamn pixie dust and ascends into heaven, leaving his shape in the air. This is both laughably epic and epically laughable at the same time. He should just mumble to himself that he's Superman while he's at it. But, big surprise, it doesn't really stick. LeBron lets Dom go to his game design camp and Bugs is just randomly there. The reason?
I told you, I'm a toon, Doc. I can survive anything.
This is when the movie posts, we don't give a shit, it's fucking Space Jam. And you know what? I really don't give a shit either. I just have fun. Space Jam: A New Legacy is entertaining for many in 2021, the same reason the first one was entertaining for many in 1996. It's a family film's zeitgeist that'll be immediately dated. Hell, chunks of it are already. But embraces what it is and gives its target audience what it wants. Do I wish this could be legit funny all the way through and work on the same level as something like Lego Movie? Absolutely. But as someone who didn't get into the first Space Jam, but honestly really wanted to, this had a little bit more self-awareness that I was looking for, ranging from laughably cringy to enjoyably clever. It's hard to say this is a film everyone will like, and it's very clear why a lot of critics didn't enjoy it. But as someone who grew up finding charm in a generation of cartoons that did the same thing, I found a similar charm here. Whether it's ironically, sincerely, or somewhere in between, this is a film I think a lot of people are going to be entertained by, one way or another.
You are so easy. I don't have to try hard with you at all.
I mean, you're the SpongeBob movie. Everybody loves SpongeBob. I don't have to put any extra effort into reviewing you.
You said it, Poochie Kittens.
that too.
The hell is that?
Isn't he that Phantom Strider guy from YouTube?
Yeah, but I didn't think he was literally a phantom!
Well, that's just how my videos work. I can appear in front of any footage. Watch this. Hello.
Ah!
And for my next trick, I'll appear in front of Tamra.
This is too crazy. I'm gonna get out of here.
No, Tamara, wait!
Well, this is new.
I'm calling William Peter Blatty.
What, you have his number?
I don't, I'm just guessing.
Hold on, critic. I heard you were going to review the SpongeBob movie.
Well, yes, Phantom Chambers.
Well, as a SpongeBob expert, I think you'll find there's more to it than you thought. Released almost 20 years ago in 2004, the SpongeBob movie was originally supposed to be the season finale of the entire show. But because it was so popular, Nickelodeon ordered several more seasons.
And then it wrapped up shortly after, right?
Yeah, not so much. The director and the creator of the series, Steven Hilberg, wasn't interested in doing more episodes past 3 seasons, so he split ways with Nickelodeon after the film came out. In many respects, this is the ending of SpongeBob, as some people, including myself, believe that all the episodes after season 3 take place before the movie.
So the new SpongeBob episodes are kinda like watching the Star Wars prequels?
Yeah, some fans would agree with that in more ways than one.
Wow, I didn't know any of that. I honestly thought it was just a silly movie for kids.
Well, I mean, it is, but in other ways, it's more than that. It's part of an iconic history that's still being written today, yet interestingly, we know the conclusion to it.
I mean, that is kind of interesting.
Yeah, I guess it does make the film a little different.
Why don't you let him help out with the review?
Yeah, come on, critic. There's a ton we can talk about.
Okay, but can you unpossess Tamra? I feel like I'm watching an Australian episode of Bob's Burgers or something.
Righto.
I feel like I'm crowded and alone at the same time.
I hear SpongeBob can help with that.
Really?
Or make it worse.
Cool!
Well, you two sit right over there and pretend like you're watching us review this.
Oh boy!
I can't wait to be a silent observer for 20 to 30 minutes.
Let's go back to 2004, what many call the height of cinematic comedies.
You mean animated comedies?
White Chicks isn't animated.
Are you sure?
No. Let's take a look at the SpongeBob SquarePants movie. We open with an intro from the Pirates of the Caribbean, and the funny thing is this opening could serve more as the movie's trailer than the actual movie itself.
Kick it to the SpongeBob movie!
But then we wouldn't get one of my favorite teasers ever that somehow works in Das Boot, Crimson Tide, and Hunt for Red October.
Captain?
For a second, I thought I heard what? I thought I heard singing, sir.
That's clearly something only an adult would get, and I kinda gotta love a SpongeBob teaser. It has the line, "What the hell?" and Mother of God in it.
What the hell is it? Mother of God.
Who lives in a pineapple under the sea? SpongeBob SquarePants.
I really respect that for a Nickelodeon movie, they could have just computer generated the background, the ship, everything, but they didn't. They actually went the extra mile to film these pirates dancing and singing at sea, despite it having no impact on the plot.
What the hell are you talking about? The reveal that the usher is the landlord's daughter from Spider-Man 2 reveals what snack they're gonna have while watching the film.
The introduction of SpongeBob is also slightly unusual. He's not introduced like most characters trying to ease in newcomers. He's introduced almost like any other episode. He has a dream about becoming a manager, then just gets up and goes to work. I guess when you think about it, explaining the show's setup could make things even more confusing.
Yeah, I don't think anyone entering this film is unfamiliar with who SpongeBob is. They didn't need to set up a deep, self-contained narrative for critics to enjoy it. Like I guess some movies were supposed to.
Mr. Krabs will announce the new manager.
SpongeBob is excited because Mr. Krabs is opening a new restaurant called the Krusty Krab 2, and he assumes he's going to be named manager.
Well, let's ask my wall of 374 consecutive Employee of the Month award.
Interesting side note, this would mean that SpongeBob has been working at the Krusty Krab for 31 years. Assuming he started working at 14, that would make SpongeBob roughly 45, so you can understand him wanting that promotion.
Dude, I'm 41. If he has that amount of relentless energy, I assure you he's cooking more than Krabby Patties.
Well, he is in his underwear the whole time.
Speaking of which, I'm not a fan when they show his ass. I'm not a prude, I just don't like imagining what kind of sponge shits come out of this character.
Actually, scientists say sea sponges release excrement through their mouths, so if you really want to get grossed out...
I'm good, buddy, I'm good.
Congratulations, buddy!
Now, how a starfish releases excrement is through
Stop giving this crowd stuff to Google!
I have to tell you something, Squidward.
Whatever it is, can't it wait until we get to work?
There's no shower at work.
The look on Squidward's face is one of shock, but also one of adding up the evidence.
The new restaurant is officially opened, as all of Bikini Bottom turns out for the ceremony.
Congratulations, Mr. Krabs.
Hello, I like money.
Ah, it's a Disney location.
I've never even had one customer!
Plankton, who wants the Krabby Patty formula to take over the world,
This was a bit of a thing in the 90s.
tries to set up a diabolical scheme to have more people eat at his restaurant.
Plan Z, here it is!
Ew, apparently there's a Rule 34 of Plan Z.
I'm ready. Promotion. Ew, I think I stepped in something.
You know, just because there's no blood doesn't mean it's not gruesome to watch.
SpongeBob doesn't make manager though, because Mr. Krabs says he's just not mature enough.
What I'm trying to say is, you're just a kid.
A kid? Didn't we establish he's like 45?
Well, SpongeBob, in many respects, is meant to be ageless.
But he has an age, it's 45!
Yeah, but reality's kind of flexible here. I tend to think he's an adult who acts like a kid in spirit.
No, I can't accept that. How can someone in his 40s still be considered a kid? Now let's continue to watch SpongeBob the movie like grown adults.
Okay.
This film is very ass-based.
Whatever floats his boat. I'm not kink-shaming.
Meanwhile, we cut to King Neptune, voiced by Jeffrey Tambor, and his daughter Mindy, played by Scarlett Johansson, who apparently loved being in the movie because she was a big fan of weird cartoons, particularly ones like Ren and Stimpy.
What does this crown do?
Covers your bald spot.
It's not bald! It's thinning!
She was actually so dedicated to the role that she even voiced Mindy in the video game.
Find a way out of here, get past the Cyclops, and back to the Krusty Krab tube.
I also like the detail that she's meant to look like a fairly regular person, as opposed to a super dolled up princess.
Well, that's because they thought they were getting the other Ghost World actress.
So, you have confessed to the crime of touching the king's crown.
Is that supposed to be a euphemism for something?
Now, critic, this is a cartoon for children.
See you next Tuesday.
Most of the time.
20 years in the dungeon it is.
Daddy!
Mindy tries to encourage her father to be nicer, but when his crown is stolen by Plankton, he goes full king mode to find it.
Meanwhile, SpongeBob spends what should have been his celebration party as a new manager, sulking in sorrows at Bikini Bottom's version of Chuck E. Cheese. He's a goofy goober, you know.
I'm a goofy goober, yeah. You're a goofy goober, yeah.
Fun fact, this is how most adults viewed SpongeBob when it first came out.
Waiter, 2 more, please. Waiter!
I always found it kind of strange seeing SpongeBob get drunk on ice cream here. Maybe he's just having a dramatic sugar crash?
Oh, you just haven't been having the right ice cream. The king pulls up to the Krusty Krab 2, searching for his crown.
Have this pole executed at once.
Okay, huge missed opportunity. They should have shown that pole getting executed.
Oh, well, you haven't seen the sequels yet.
Do they do it there?
No, but in the announced SpongeBob movie 25, I hear the pole gets a good arc.
I stole your crown, sign Eugene Krabs!
I'm on to you, Krabs! You have stolen the royal crown you cannot deny!
Nice, showing more investment than Javier Bardem as King Triton. Plankton frames Mr. Krabs for stealing the crown and, say it with me, is frozen today. But SpongeBob says he can get his crown back so he can continue to cover up his bald head.
Has anyone else noticed that both SpongeBob movies 1 and 3 are about a villain being bald? Feels like a rather strange trope.
I, for one, am offended. This is clearly an agenda to show bald people are hideous monsters.
Oh, come on, critic. You think everyone reacts to your bald head the same way these characters do?
I'll pretend I'm not crying inside.
They're told the crown is in Shell City, so SpongeBob volunteers to get it in order to save Mr. Krabs. I love too that only now does Squidward actually notice something is going on.
Mr. Krabs!
That must have been quite an article on bikes he was reading.
Here, take this. It's a magical bag of winds. Open the bag of winds and you'll be blown back home.
If this is all sounding familiar, by the way, that's because this is loosely based on Homer's Odyssey. The Bag of Winds, the Cyclops, even a siren all make appearances as a send-up to one of the greatest quests ever written.
Yes, but do the clan make an appearance like in O Brother Where Art Thou?
Well, technically no, but if the Krusty Krabs opened a 10th location, it would look a little iffy.
They hop aboard the paddy wagon, and I was gonna say I really want this thing to exist, but it already does, doesn't it?
Too many to count.
And they make their way to Shell City, going past the county line.
You two dipsticks ain't gonna last 10 seconds over the county line!
Actually, I'm not too far off as they immediately get carjacked.
SpongeBob just doesn't have much luck with burgers and theft.
Yeah, right? Wait, why is that right?
Because Burger King had several of their giant SpongeBob balloons stolen. In 10 different states, their giant promotional inflatables were taken. Some even received ransom notes demanding 10 Krabby Patties for their return. Many sold on eBay for as much as $1,000. Burger King even offered a year's supply of Whoppers for anyone who could get them back.
Wow, it's like the Capitol Hill riot, only intentionally funny.
Plankton sells Krabby Patties at his restaurant along with a free bucket helmet that's secretly going to brainwash everyone. He also calls an assassin named Dennis to stop SpongeBob and Patrick in their tracks.
Sesame seed. Kill frogs.
Actually, he's voiced by Alec Baldwin.
I guess it makes sense. Hard to say many of us aren't afraid of him.
SpongeBob, look! Our car!
They find their car, but notice the keys are missing, so they go into the bar to try and get them. But they get distracted by
Bubbles!
I can't find much to comment on with this one.
Just bubbles.
Just bubbles. Next scene. The thugs figure out someone's not tough enough to be in the bar, so SpongeBob and Patrick figure a way out.
DJ, time for the test!
Actually, it's a Goofy Goober song to see if anyone sings along with it. But luckily, 2 other people are Goofy Goober fans as well, and they sing before they do.
Goofy, goofy, goober, goober, yeah!
Yeah, into the dip with them.
Not everything is film clips.
Everything is film clips. They get the key and make their way to probably my favorite joke in the movie, driving past a series of skulls that only keep adding up more and more the closer they get to the obvious threat. I don't think Return of the King has this big a body count.
Patrick's underreaction is also pretty hilarious. Nah, he's just underselling it because he's about to become a meme.
Ah, yes. Needs a little bit more pointing, but aside from that, a good meme.
And just as the 2 of them are ready to give up, Mindy arrives.
Hey, wait a minute. If she can make it that far, why doesn't she get the crown?
I guess because Teenage Mutant Velma Meg wasn't as good a title.
I strongly Okay, I kind of agree now.
She shows them that Bikini Bottom has been taken over by Plankton. But SpongeBob and Patrick think they can't save the day because they're just kids.
A couple of kids could never survive this journey. That's why I guess I'll just have to turn you into men.
Which version of this are we watching again? She claims to use mermaid magic to turn them into men and tricks them into thinking they grew mustaches.
Only 51 minutes into the film, I think we can have our first song. And a pretty memorable one too.
Now that we're men, we got a manly flair. We got the stuff, we're tough enough to save the day.
Huh, I kinda thought the big song sequence would include more of the characters like Squidward, Sandy, or Mrs. Puff. Where are those characters anyway?
Well, you're not the only one to have noticed their absence. While technically in the movie, the side characters were cut down quite a bit to keep the focus on SpongeBob and Patrick. Sandy even had a story where she returns to the surface and transforms into a real squirrel, causing Patrick to vomit repeatedly. She was going to be chased by men in black and help SpongeBob and Patrick get home near the end, but it was cut due to Nickelodeon saying they didn't like Sandy as a fugitive, and Patrick vomiting was too gross even for SpongeBob.
Did they see some of the later episodes?
Honestly, my guess would be no.
SpongeBob and Patrick are captured by a Scooby-Doo villain who they call the Cyclops.
I personally think this is the French narrator from the show, as a very similar looking diver is shown to be friends with Sandy in the episode Feral Creatures.
Ah, Sandy Cheeks, how is it hanging?
Honestly, that would be pretty funny as all his Jacques Cousteau style exploring was all just to put googly eyes on dead marine life.
Well, at least he didn't jump scare us this time. He was a real jerk in the video game.
SpongeBob and Patrick are literally left out to dry as it suddenly becomes a Pixar film and they have to confront death.
We did all right for a couple of goofballs.
So I'll admit I've been liking the movie fine, but for the most part, it hasn't been that cinematic. Most of the shots in the film honestly just kind of look like shots from the show. It's almost hard to tell the difference. When the diver appears though, that's when it starts to look and feel like a movie. A much more threatening conflict is introduced and shot in a way that looks and feels like it's on a larger scale. And for a SpongeBob movie, this does get a little grim. Even the pirates in the theater start tearing up.
That's the end of SpongeBob.
Ha! SpongeBob coming to an end. This is clearly a work of fiction.
Their tears manage to short-circuit the power though, causing the sprinklers to turn on and bring all the sea creatures back. Because real life.
Let's get that crown!
Right!
The fish then beat up the diver, resulting in SpongeBob and Patrick retrieving the crown.
Do you still have that bag of wins?
I sure do. Here you go. He found Captain Winky!
Critic?
Everything is film clips! They mess up using the bag of wins though, so there's only one clear solution. David Hasselhoff.
Hasselhoff said this actually made him more recognizable to future generations. Many kids didn't grow up watching Knight Rider or Baywatch, but after appearing in this, he said he gets cheered at by younger crowds all the time.
This whole action sequence is pretty great, as Dennis catches up with our heroes and they have their climax on David Hasselhoff.
That sounded wrong.
It felt wrong saying it.
They actually made a 14-foot Hasselhoff statue for filming these scenes. He recently sold it at an auction for $1 million. Perhaps the most expensive yet hilarious nightmare fuel ever to be sold.
Take it easy back there, fellas.
Admittedly though, this scene might have been more epic and surreal if they used this footage.
This is a mess.
Critic, that's a bit harsh.
I know he's better, but come on, doesn't it make more sense he would see SpongeBob and Patrick running around him? He's even eating a Krabby Patty. It's practically its own commercial. In all honesty though, this does show what a great sense of humor he has, and like I mentioned before, this is all shot much more cinematic. It's like an epic showdown, but on SpongeBob terms. It's easily the most enjoyable part of the movie for me.
My crown!
It suddenly turns into a zombie movie though, as after they return the crown, Plankton's minions try to take over.
I am just a kid. But that's okay, cause I did what everyone said a kid couldn't do.
This certainly isn't a new message in movies, but I have to admit, it really sticks with me. The message is basically, you are who you are, and I think that can be applied to a lot of adults that like SpongeBob or kids coming to understand who they are. SpongeBob finds that being an adult is not about how mature you act or liking mature things. It's about being a confident, decent person.
And bills, it's about forever paying bills.
Yeah, that too.
I'm a goofy goober!
It suddenly turns into an 80s music video because of course it does. It randomly brings DeviantArt to the big screen and plays by Captain EO rules as both love and music seem to set everybody free.
Plankton is somehow defeated by this, and King Neptune agrees to unfreeze Mr. Krabs.
What the? I guess I had it set to real boy ending.
Well, it does accomplish what 2 out of 3 Pinocchio movies didn't accomplish last year. Yeah, he doesn't turn into a real boy in most of those, kind of odd.
SpongeBob is finally made into a manager, and the movie ends rather abruptly.
Yes, but on the plus side, they do show us the pole getting executed. His little pole family showed up and everything.
What is your obsession?
Okay, how about another scene with the daughter from Spider-Man 2?
Actually, they do have that.
You folks have to leave.
Say that again, if you dare.
You folks have to leave.
Okay.
It's not great, but the main focus makes it special.
And that's basically what many people think of this movie. Okay, nobody sees this as a masterpiece, but it certainly captures a simpler time of watching something laid back and goofy. I've always found something comforting knowing that no matter what they do with SpongeBob in later seasons, this is how it's all going to wrap up. Steven Hilberg ended his run the way he wanted, and nothing can change that. It's got a nice lesson that probably isn't going to change any lives, but it can still be appreciated in its own way.
Yeah, I can't pretend this is a film I would watch more than once, but the senior moments are pretty fun to think back on, and it's got a lot of bright and colorful imagery to laugh at. While I can't pretend this is going to leave a huge impact on me, for those who grew up with it, I can definitely see why it did for them. And thanks so much to Phantom Strider for helping me out with this review.
Hey, no problem, critic. Glad to be here. But I have to ask, is Tamara going to be okay?
Yeah, why wouldn't she be?
It's like I was in control of my body, but I was seeing things in an Australian and also somehow Canadian way.
How do you mean?
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, that's just Wednesday around here.
Okay.